Can you hear me, Joe? Okay. Alrighty, you guys. Gotta wait to start getting some people in here.
Is the reverb working?
I think so. My guest is Joe Vieira from Presence of the Unknown. Right now, we're gonna get more people on here tonight. Hey, Kayla. Yeah, my freaking thing isn't working at all. Oh, you are such a zombie, right? Yes, JoJo is from Canada. Yes, this is true. My live chat is just not working. Thank you so much for the 12 people joining. Eric Garcia is in the house. Welcome, Eric Garcia. I'm doing fantastic, Michael. How are you? From Oregon, I'm still alive. I hear you, Julie. Yeah, my chat box is absolutely not working at all. Okay, let me do something real quick.
I hate not using my green screen. This virtual shit sucks. Oh, that looks trippy. Oh, that looks cool. What the hell? I look all weird.
Yeah, I have no idea why my chat box is not working at all.
Hey John, don't I look like a ghost?
Oh yeah. Kind of new to the channel, just lurk. I thought I'd say hi, Renee Ray. How's it going? Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Well, that looks tricky.
Lou Rock, what is going on? Oh, I love that new graphic. That is fire. Thank you, Lou. I appreciate it, man. Joyce Wanda Alkenbrack, what is up? Thank you so much for joining. Lou, I sent you a link if you wanted to come up and share some spooky ghost stories with us. Hey, we got Perry as PR Paranormal Pursuit. That is somebody I should share the link with too if he wants to come up and share his any ghost stories. We're gonna get Brandon from Psycho Ghost Trackers up here too. SpongeBob, of course, DF. Alright, you guys, we're about to go live in 1 minute. Oh, I'm so glad you like it. Yeah, I have no idea why my chat box is not working. Supposed to have the live chat. Oh, here we go. Now it's working. For some reason it was hidden behind something. Okay. Boomer D in the house. Welcome.
What's up, Boomer? You can hear my voice, right?
Yep, I can hear your voice. Can you hear mine clearly?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I won't be able to stay on long.
Alright. Alrighty, guys. DF Network, I've lurked in a couple of your videos and streams and stuff. Alright. Guys, we are live here on Hsfl Paranormal. Welcome, everybody. This is Joe. My name is John. I'm with Hsfl. Joe, a presence of the unknown. We are going to be getting started here very shortly. Joe has some ghost stories and tales of the paranormal. Just like I do, we go on a lot of the same adventures together. So, yes, guys, I hope you guys like the outlook of this stream. And let me know what you guys think. Yes, Joe's link is right there. Sharpshooter just posted it. We got 20 people in the chat. Is that Bloody Mary up on panel with you?
Yeah, I like the layout. That's pretty cool.
The layout's sweet. I love the...
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with the two layouts that I have right now. I'm gonna
Actually,
keep using them back and forth now.
Is my stream playing in your background?
Oh, yeah, hold on a second. No, it's not.
Say, Joe, what do you know? Said Cynthia Downs.
Hey, Cynthia, how's it going? Yeah, she was on earlier.
Alrighty.
Hey, Gina's in the house. What's up,
Gina's Bizarro Ghost said, oh, wait, that's Joe? LOL, he's all red. Hey, Muddy and me, Oscar Wildman, how's it going? Welcome, thank you so much for joining. Yes, let's do this, guys.
Yeah, look at that setup, guys.
So, for those people who have never heard your paranormal origin story, Joe, share what happened to you and what got you into the paranormal. Tell us about that experience in the valley.
Well, I told the story a lot, but I guess I can do it again. Why not?
The stream is a bit laggy, and I know why. It's because I'm using Hangouts. I mean, I'm not using Hangouts. I mean, Streamlabs. Streamlabs and Zoom for me. I think I've finally hit the threshold of how much I can abuse this.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, right now it says it's not having issues. I gotta monitor it though.
All right. So, yeah, it all started in Simi Valley, where I grew up. I'm originally from Springfield, Massachusetts. I'm actually from the same area that Blue Rock's from, and grew up back east until I was, I don't know, 11 years old. And came out here about 12 years old. And when I was 15, shoot, I get the years. Get my age screwed up on that. I think I was 14 or 15, somewhere around there. Anyways, the house that my uncle bought, because my uncle is the one that, he was like a dad to me, he died years ago. But he bought this house in Simi Valley. He was already in California, and he brought us, our whole family, out to Cali because of my mom figured she wanted to get out of back east and live in Cali near her family, which is my family too. So we actually, my Uncle Joe, which passed away years ago, bought a house in Simi Valley, and the house itself was haunted, and I didn't know about it until after we moved in. The kids across the street that I grew up with, Mike and John, they're brothers, and then there's their mother, Effie, which used to be friends with my mom. And I always wondered why she never wanted to walk in the house. my mom would ask her, "Hey, why don't you come in and have a cup of coffee?" And she's, "Nah, that's okay. I'd rather not." And my mom got offended, and she's like wondering why. How come you don't want to walk into my house? Is there something wrong? And, well, Effie told my mom what happened, but my mom did not tell me about it and didn't tell any of us. And I guess my mom didn't want my uncle getting all paranoid and stuff because that's the way he is. Well, I find out later from my mom and the witnesses across the street that somebody hung themselves in the garage. Now, I didn't believe this shit. I was like, whatever. I mean, I was like 14 years old, so it was just like, whatever. Who cares? You know, it's a joke. Well, it's not a joke. It actually happened, and they showed me proof and everything else. And then what happened was my uncle was sleeping. He had the next door, you know, the room right next door to mine. And I heard a bunch of commotion, and it sounded like he was choking. And I got paranoid. I'd opened up the door, and his bed was actually like kind of raising up off the ground. And this is no lie. It was raising off the ground. His sheets were off, and he was holding his
housekeeping.
I hear you.
What?
They can't even hear you. You keep saying the comments. You guys are in the comments. They can't hear you. I keep telling you guys. You're echoing. You're very far in the tunnel.
Really?
They can't hear you. They're all trying to
Hey, John?
Yeah, can you guys hear me at all?
I can hear you.
But they can't hear the chat. It's not in the tunnel.
I turned up my volume all the way.
Really?
Yeah, they can't hear you talk.
Oh my God, this is kind of pointless then.
They keep saying they're all white. I'm just looking at our comments.
It's because I'm trying to use this whole system, and it's a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, Cynthia just came out and
Okay,
told
people
me.
are saying it's better.
Oh man, I was talking. Oh my God.
That's why
Okay.
I stopped you. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a good thing Cynthia just came out here and told me. I would have never known. I would have just kept the babbling. Because
Okay.
I ain't got that long, guys. She has to go to sleep.
So I got my volume pegged all the way. You guys should be able to hear.
Yeah, Cynthia warned me. Thank God.
The picture is
What a
frozen
fool out of myself.
constantly and buffering. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this.
Okay, wait a minute.
No.
Renee says, I can hear now, but picture is frozen and constantly buffering. You got a bad connection, dude.
I shouldn't, because I just reset my router before this stream.
Hey, you know what? You know what it is, dude?
It's
I'll tell you what it is.
It's Zoom.
No. You can't run OBS with Zoom like that.
Yeah, I need an even better connection.
Yeah, you have to cut the OBS. I think we should just go with Zoom period and not even worry about OBS, because I've had this happen to me and then it cleared up and then, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's buffering. Mine's buffering right now.
So guys, do you want me to restart this stream and then I'll just go ahead and delete this one? I really wanted to have this work tonight, damn it.
Yeah, it's not going to work with Zoom.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any way to change my bit rate to compensate for the timing, so...
yeah, see, Boomer's saying that the audio's good. Yeah, it's buffering again. I'm looking at YouTube right now. It's buffering.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
because of the Zoom, unfortunately.
Yeah, because you got OBS, you got all that stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then you got Zoom going on, so now you're working your computer
Insanely hard.
It's like taking double power or whatever. So I would just redo it. Send me a link. And I'll jump right back in.
Okay. Shoot. After I shared all this out, damn it.
No. Hey, don't feel so bad, man. I was talking out of my ass for about 20 minutes.
Oh, Lord.
And nobody even heard me. Cynthia had to come out here
They
and tell
said
me.
they can hear us. They said they could hear us really well, but they can't see us. So, guys, we're going to have to change things up. I really was hoping this was going to work. I've done this before where I didn't have issues, but I didn't quite have the animations. I'm gonna try one last thing to get rid of this video at the bottom, and I think if I delete that, it should bring my CPU down possibly enough to keep us being able to keep this live stream up.
All right, go ahead and try to fix. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm gonna do something. Hold on. Whoop. What the hell happened?
Okay, let's see if this is gonna work right here.
Okay, let's see.
Hopefully it's gonna allow us to. Can you... Did the stream end or something? Yeah, OBS does not integrate stuff well.
No. I could have told you that.
Okay, is it still lagging to the max?
Alright, I'll be right back.
Oh no, it looks like it's working fine-ish now. I know. Hold on, guys. We're gonna try to fix this. Sorry, we're trying to figure this out, guys. Let's see if it's loading up here. Shouldn't have issues after this. Just run Zoom and end OBS. Okay. Okay, it seems like it's working great now. I took that little extra video clip, and I think that's what was causing me to lag. But now it seems to be running okay.
Okay, I'm back. All right.
All right. So I think I found the issue. It was just too many things running at the same time.
Yep. That's what usually happens.
So, yep. We figured it out, I think, guys.
What the hell?
Alright, so start again.
Wait a minute here.
Hopefully we don't. Okay, now I'm running at 29 CPU.
Whoa, that looks trippy, dude.
Yeah, now it's running perfectly.
Let's try this one. Ooh, it looked like a ghost.
So hopefully that stays that way. Yeah, see, now I'm running at 28 CPU and it's running fine.
Yeah, John fixed it. Yeah, people are, John? People are saying that we should just go with Zoom, dude. We don't need all this stuff on Zoom.
Okay, Boomer says it looks fine now. It's working now, said James. Okay, so we're good now. Yeah, because I'm down to like 24 CPU.
Oh, it's down to 24 CPU now?
Yeah, it's continuing to drop.
Yeah, that's where you want to be.
Yeah. And this is a lot of animation, guys. Like,
Dude, she's messing with me, man.
alright. Sorry, guys. Moving on. We fixed the situation. My apologies. Hey, exploring with DP. You always try to do too much at once. Yeah, that's the story of my life.
Yeah, you get too much stuff going on, man. It goes haywire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. having a Coke and a smile.
Now I gotta figure out why the chat's not working.
Oh man, it's really good right
here
now.
we go. Chat's working.
It's
now.
so freaking hot still out over here.
Oh, dude, it is so uncomfortable here.
It's unbelievable.
I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts. Hey, exploring places. How's it going? Exploring with Blake. Thank you so much for joining.
How many people are in the house right now?
We have 24 in the house right now.
Nice.
Guys, remember to share this out. I would greatly appreciate it. So, okay, Joe, let's start back where you started.
Again.
Hey, we got Nina Vixen. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining.
All right, hold on a second. Let me do something. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. Let's see. What the hell? Where is it? Okay, I'm just going to put it on. Make it easy. All right. First of all, I want to thank all the people that joined me earlier today. That was awesome that you guys stuck around for a couple hours. I did have like 9 people left over, 8 people. I had it up to 20 something, which was decent. But thank you guys who stuck around, and all you blue wrenches that were there. I want to thank you guys for doing all your hard work. James, you're a beast, dude. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll start all over again.
Hey, Kim, FITZGERALD ROCK FAM. Sorry.
So, yeah, I moved from Springfield, Massachusetts. It's the same place where Lou Rock grew up. I grew up in the same area as Lou Rock. And I used to have the accent, but it's gone now. My mom occasionally does, but my Uncle Joe, which lived back east, like my mom's side of the family, they're all Italians. So they all came from back east. And my uncle moved us out to California. My mom was going through some problems with divorce and all that stuff, so she wanted to get out of there. So she took us kids and moved us out to Cali. And my Uncle Joe, who passed away years ago, he was like a dad to me. The guy was really cool, and he was smart. And it's a shame he's gone. But he moved us out to California, and he bought this house in Simi Valley. And I went to grammar school, elementary school, junior high, and high school there. So I basically grew up in Simi. And this house that my uncle bought, well, he didn't know, but somebody hung themselves in the garage. And I didn't believe the story. I was just like, you guys are full of shit, because my friends told me this across the street that I grew up with, and they were saying, yeah, the house is haunted and somebody hung themselves in the garage. I said, you're full of shit. I just kept denying it. I was in denial. And then finally, Mike, the younger one, out of the brothers, goes, go look in your garage and look up top, and you'll see the rope marks. And I go, how do you know that? And he goes, well, my old friend used to live right there, and then you guys bought the house. My uncle bought the house. And I go, no way. So Mike took me in my garage, and he looks up and he goes, see that? And I looked, and there's like rope marks on top of, oh man, it was a trip. So after this, about 2 months later, my uncle, which had his room right next to mine, and my mom was across the way. So it's a 4-bedroom house. You got 2 rooms on one side and 2 on the other. And my uncle was next door, and I heard a bunch of commotion, like kind of like thumping noises and scratching sounds. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? It woke me up out of dead sleep. So I opened up his door, and his bed was off the ground, like ½ inch or an inch. I didn't know what to think about it, and his covers flew off, and then he was holding his throat like he was being choked or something. Now, he wasn't choking himself. He was just like trying to grab the hands off his throat or something. And I freaked the hell out. Okay, at that point, I was like, Mom! I just went across her room, got my mother, and she went across the way, pushed me aside, and rushed into the room, and my uncle was like passing out. He was like gasping for air, and then he fell off his bed, and he woke up and stuff, and he snapped out of it. Then we called the paramedics. The paramedics took him to the hospital. He was hospitalized for 2 days, and he had handprints on his neck, which was really odd, because he wasn't really choking himself. He was just trying to push the hands away from his throat, like something or whatever was in his room was like choking him or something. He was gasping for air and he couldn't breathe. So they were asking us, the doctor and the nurses were asking us, you know, did he try to choke himself, or where did he get all these bruises? You know, so he had tons of bruises. He had a handprint on his throat. And I tried telling my uncle that the place is haunted, and I told him that somebody hung himself in the garage. He goes, "Oh, you're full of shit." You know, that's how Italians are. I don't believe that shit. They don't believe in paranormal. They don't believe in any of that crap. So he was in denial. He didn't believe it until something happened to me. Now, my room, I was into some weird shit, guys. I was into black metal because as you know, I'm a guitar player, and I'm from the 80s. Okay, I grew up in the 80s. I had long hair. I was a total metalhead. I mean, I listened to Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, all these Merciful Fate, which they're devil worshippers. So I was into black metal, and I met this wrong person. But I won't even talk about that. But anyways, I started heading down this black path. I don't know what the hell it was. And on one particular night, now I had some black shit in my room. I mean, my mom would not even go in that room at all whatsoever. And John, you can even ask my mother about this next time you see her. I had upside down crosses in my room. I was in the black shit. I mean, I was a kid, so I was like trying to be a follower, kind of, you know, because my friends were all into that shit, and they're wearing all this blue, black, or like big combat boots, dressed in trench coats and all black. Like they looked like Neo from the Matrix. They just wore all black, and I got involved in that shit. And I find out that it was a cult, and I was like, oh, screw this shit. And my best friend Scott was part of it too. And they actually chased him down. He quit, and they followed him around, gave him death threats. They gave me death threats. Well, long story short, one particular night, I was sleeping, okay? And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little stoned, a little bit. And my Uncle Jim gave me some shit, and I was like, okay, you know, I felt pretty good, and I fell asleep. And it was right next door to my uncle's room, and what happened was I was like in this pit, like some I don't know what the hell it was, like this figure didn't have any eyes or anything. It was just a mouth, and it was all black, like a black mass, and it was like pushing me down with this pitchfork down this tunnel, and all I can do was just float in the air, and I'm trying to float back up to the top, and he just kept pushing me down with this pitchfork. And I didn't know what to think of it. And I just was like screaming. I was trying to get, you know, to the top. It was like I was drowning, but I wasn't. It wasn't water or anything like that. I was just like floating in the air. And I woke up. My mom freaked out. And I was screaming and yelling. She came across the room. Now, this time she actually walked in my room this time because I was screaming and yelling, and I was hysterical. And after that, the very next day, this is kind of funny. I used to race bikes, and I was into surfing and stuff, but I didn't actually surf. I just liked the pictures, and my friend gave me a surfboard, so I went and did everything tropical in the room. My mom walks in the next day, and she's all, wow, now this is a change. I can actually walk in your room now and not be possessed by something in your room. I changed everything. Everything was tropical all over the place. It was unreal. I had plants in there. It looked like a normal room. So you can picture like a black room with black walls. I painted the whole room black. And I had all this hardcore black metal band pictures, posters everywhere. Slayer was up there, and they had these upside down crosses on their posters. So whatever I did, something followed me in there. I actually, maybe it was an attachment or something by having that stuff in there. And then my mom straightened my ass out, thank God. She actually blessed the room because she's Catholic. So, and my uncle's Catholic too. So she blessed the room. And then the very next day, I changed my whole room, changed my whole life. I felt good, and it just felt awesome. It almost felt like the time when I went to that mission, John. Remember, I got lost. Kind of the same thing. So, but anyway, yeah, that's what happened to me, and I've been into the paranormal ever since. I've been always fascinated by it, but I was afraid to talk to anybody until I met John, and John and I talk about it all the time. So it's kind of cool meeting people that are into that and that believe in it, because I'm going to tell you something, it is real.
Oh yeah.
They're out there. So that's just my belief.
And if you mess with the bad stuff will come.
That's it, guys.
Come look at it. Come look for you.
So you can take that to the bank.
Oh yeah. Hey, what's going on, Mary Nettle? How's it going? Welcome. Thank you everybody who's joining so far. Hey John, I can't hear you. Oh, my bad. Sorry. It's showing 28 people, and I had it talking to the people, but I didn't have it talking to here and the people at the same time. I want to thank everybody. We actually is showing 28 people here right now in the chat. Thank you guys so much. Remember to share this out, guys, if you haven't done so already. It would be a lot of help if we could get as many people in here as possible. Everybody knows somebody, so please let's get this streamed out. And it's perfect for Halloween with the zombie theme. I just wanted to let everybody know Boomer D just joined us. Thank you so much, bro.
Oh, hey, Kim, what's going on? Kim Fitzgerald's in the house. Awesome. Cynthia's here. We got James.
Oh, yeah.
Boom.
I forgot I muted myself. Oh, yeah, let's get the camera on, too. Why not? There we go. Hey, I think I get everything working now. Okay. Yeah, thanks, John, for inviting me up here.
Yep.
Holy shit. Kick me later. Joe, damn it. Yeah. Good to be here with you, Joe. Sorry, I'm gonna say sorry I missed your live earlier.
Oh, that's no problem, man.
Yeah, not one of my better days. I've been sleeping most of the day, so. Yeah, so should I just go ahead and go into my story, John, or did you have?
No, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and share your story.
All right. Well, I'm not sure if I've ever talked about this one publicly or not. So I'm not sure if anybody knows this story. If you've heard it before, stop me. But,
yeah, Cynthia.
Hey, Boomer, where did you get that face, dude? That is sick.
Oh, on the Snapcam thing. John showed me the Snapcam stuff. And I recently decided to download it, and I also have that voice mod thing, but for some reason, every time I activate the voice mod thing, it messes with my computer algorithms or something. I don't know, but it screws other things up. Like, it doesn't always shut off. Sometimes it runs in the background, and if I'm not aware of it, I go to another live stream and it screws it up or something. So I always ended up having to shut down my computer, restart it, and so that it would stop playing in the background. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, John introduced me to that Snapcam thing, so.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Boomer, you
Yeah.
start your story. I'm gonna listen to it from the background. I'm gonna go have a quick smoke, but I'll be listening on my phone.
Oh, cool. All right.
I'll be right back.
I mean, for a couple minutes, it's not all about you, John. So
I hear you,
I
Boomer.
don't know why it keeps disappearing though. I wish for some reason, I won't use my. Anyway, it keeps disappearing, but y'all can hear me fine. Yeah. So like I said, like with I can't remember what stories I've already told or haven't. So, let me know. But it all started. I mean, I believe this is it. This is where it all started. The house I grew up in, back in my hometown. Now, growing up, for the most part, my family lived in a house right next door to my grandparents' house. At the time, my grandparents owned both properties. And we always known that my grandparents' house was haunted due to an incident that happened back in the, I think, late 20s, early 30s or something. But nobody ever suspected our house that I grew up in of being haunted or anything until, and what we believe is that what happened was we had a relative, my uncle, they're originally from Orlando, Florida, and they were staying with us for a while when I came up to New York. And we always either referred to it as the girls' room or the large room. It was the biggest bedroom in the house, and it was at the front of the house. It took up half the upstairs. So the large room is what I refer to it as. So they were staying in a large room, and my aunt and uncle. And one night, my uncle had a heart attack and passing away. Now, at the time, we didn't realize that he had actually expired before they even took him to the hospital. By the time they got to the hospital, they declared him DOA. So,
Wow.
So he ended up dying in that room, and within a month, I would believe, within a month after that incident, my sisters would start complaining of, weird happenings in the room. Like, I believe it was my youngest sister was the first one to mention something about her blankets or whatever being pulled on. And my older sister, when she'd have friends staying over and stuff, they'd always complain about feeling like they're being watched, and that wasn't me and my brother with the people on the wall either. This was something else. They always complained about they felt like they were being watched. And
Damn.
one of her friends actually, said that she felt like something was tugging at her feet or something like that at the end of the bed. They started mentioning that, like my sister would have 3 or 4 girlfriends over having a slumber party. They'd be in sleeping bags and laying on the floor. And one of them actually claimed that something unzipped her sleeping bag. Started to unzip the sleeping bag.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Damn.
So naturally, they accused me and my brother of sneaking in the room and playing our little, brother jokes on them and stuff, which wasn't the fact. And for a long time, it was just kind of little things like that, tugging. I think we were both me and my oldest sister were, I think in middle school around that time, if I remember correctly, or just getting ready to go to middle school. So we were like, I don't know, 11, 12, 13, or 14. Oh, my memory is so shot. So yeah, my parents pretty much wrote it off for a while. My mom, she secretly, she had her thoughts, and she usually kept them to herself. She was never outspoken about stuff like this. I associated with a experience she had with her sisters when they were younger. So she doesn't really talk about it much. And so years went on. Now the first thing that I heard that seriously happened in the room since then was later on. I had already graduated high school, and I was out on my own, and my brother had taken over the room. He was still living with my parents for a while, and my brother's a pretty big guy. Well, not, my brother's like 6'2", probably at the time maybe 180, 185 pounds. So he was pretty good sized fella, and my dad had always been a big guy, 6'1", 6'2", something like that, and 250, 300. So, and you understand why I'm saying this. From what I was not there during the first experience of this, but they told me what happened. And my son, who my parents adopted, was also living in the house at the time, and he had his own little room that they made for him out of the attic. Yes, the stepchild stories. Yes. No, I'm just kidding. Extended the attic to make another room. So that's, where he lived. So he was also inadvertently involved with what happened that day. And so being told this by 5 different members of my family, I can't say it wasn't true. I was home, on leave, visiting a family, and they told me that the first incident that ever happened seriously was my brother was literally pushed out of the room. He had been studying or something. He got up and started to walk toward the doorway. And he said it felt like something just like punched him with both hands in the back, and he flew forward and stumbled out of the room. And, it happened so fast, he kind of, maybe I tripped on the rug or whatever, so he turns around, tries to go back to see if there was something he tripped over or whatever, and he couldn't get back in the room. Literally, there was something there, some kind of force holding him back from and he starts yelling downstairs for my dad. So my dad comes running up. What the hell's going on? What? He goes, something's in here. Something's not letting me back in the room. So my brother grabbing the door jamb either side, trying to pull himself in with my dad behind him trying to push him in, couldn't get him into the room. Now this is what I've heard. Okay, now let's fast forward a few years. After I got out of service, after my wife split and everything, I was staying with my parents, and I was staying in that room. Now, at that time, they had bunk beds in there because the kids had had the room designated for the kids, that my nieces and nephews that my parents took care of for a while. So I had an out-of-town visitor, family friend, staying. So she stayed in my son's room while my son and I were supposed to stay in the big room with the bunk bed. So my son and the other visitor is in his room playing video games, and I'm taking a nap. I'm laying down on the bottom bunk of the bunk bed, and I start to doze off, and all of a sudden I hear this, or I feel this heavy, really heavy pressure on my chest. And the first thing that came to mind was, oh my God, not another heart attack. Because it literally felt like at first maybe I was having a heart attack. So I went to sit up. I tried to sit up to relieve some of the pressure, and I couldn't breathe, and I could not sit up. It was as if something was straddling me, holding me down by my shoulders and pressing against my chest. Like, look, I know this is a weird way to explain it, but to give you a picture of what may have looked like is, a couple, the lady, straddling the guy and laying down on him and holding him down, kind of thing. That's what it felt like. I don't know. Maybe it was a succubus. Who knows? But anyway, I could not sit up. So finally, I just kind of, out of frustration and anger, all my emotions just gathered up in one, and I just thrust my hands forward in front of me. And just as I did that, I felt the relief, as if I threw off whatever was holding me down. And I sat up and I ran to my son's room. I was like, oh my God, I think it's back. Because there hasn't been a whole lot of activities like that for a while, for a long time, since the incident with my brother that I know of, unless there's things they haven't told me yet. So that was my experience in the room. And so what we believed happened was when my uncle passed away in that room, it somehow opened up this portal that entities may have came through and kind of took over that space, I guess, because it would come and go. As far as I know from what I've heard, I mean, I moved out when I was about 17, 18, and then I, went off to the service when I was in my 20s, and then I got married and everything. So a lot of years went by. So there's a lot of stuff that maybe they haven't told me over the years. So at least 15 years had gone by before I actually came back to the home and stayed there for any length of time. So that was my first only real experience with it. So yeah, I mean, so definitely that house now, the one and the one before, which my grandparents lived in, is also haunted. Back in, I can't remember what the era was that my grandmother told me. There was a family, there was a mother and two sons, I believe, that lived in that house before my grandparents bought it. And supposedly the story goes the two sons went and robbed the bank.
Thanks, Terry.
And they were chased back home by the police. And there was a shootout. And apparently one of the brothers was shot and killed in the house. I do believe the mother passed away in the reconstruction home years later. What happened to the second brother, I don't know if he was just arrested, served his time or whatever. By now he's dead, of course, because this was like 20s or 30s, I think it happened. So I'm sure he's probably expired. But so that house has always been haunted as well. But yeah. So that's my story of my very first actual experience with being, I'll say, attacked, for lack of a better term. I was, being attacked by an entity. So that's what prepared me for later on with expecting anything, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's some messed up shit.
Yeah,
Hey guys, I just wanted to announce one of my friends, David
what's up,
Oman.
David? Hey, how's it going, man?
Hi guys, I was just fascinated by that story.
Oh, no shit.
oh, you should have heard Joe's.
I'm going to see Joe in a week from tonight, as a matter of fact.
Awesome.
I'm here to plug the event, since John's hush, hush, quiet, quiet. I have no clue why he's so quiet. Come on, John, open your mouth and speak about next Tuesday.
Joe started it, and then I was just like,
We got to start talking about it. Christ, it's a week away. Come on.
yes, guys, we are going to be live at the Oman House in less than a week, guys. It's gonna be.
Actually, hey David, I did spread the news today.
Oh, good.
I'm so jelly right now.
You're jelly.
Yeah, I'm so jelly right now.
So jelly.
Everybody gets to hang with David Allman, except for Boomer.
Yeah,
Look, you guys, come down next Tuesday night to be with John and Joe here at the house. We're doing a barbecue and a ghost hunt, and everybody who comes will be getting a copy of my book,
Oh,
It's part
wow.
of the ticket. It's going to be $50. It's going to be dinner, ghost hunting, food, and a free copy of the book. It's $20 in the stores, 25 signed. I'm giving a copy, a signed copy to each person that comes next week.
Heck yeah.
So come next Tuesday night to this pre-Halloween Halloween event.
And I just wanted to say
From there in spirit. Do I still get a book from there in spirit? I'll send you $20.
You can still buy the book, but it's better to be here for the extra 20 so he gets dinner and a meal and everything else.
Hey, Joker Explorers, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for watching. We have 38 people in the house right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
See, Boomer D was on. Look at him.
Share it.
Yes, guys, share this stream out. Let everybody know that this
Share the
is live.
shit out of this
We got
shit.
the one and only David Omen, who owns the infamous Omen House in Los
What's
Angeles.
infamous about it? It's famous, bitch. Nothing infamous.
It is not.
Do you know what the word infamous
The
is?
area, yes, the area around. Let me correct myself.
The spirits are talking. The spirits are talking. They're telling me that I'm hearing. Who the hell is Dave?
I was gonna say, like with the Omen House, the reason I said infamous is not because of his house and what goes on in his house. It's because the area that the crimes of the Manson family.
there's a lot of energy. A lot of energy in
The
there.
circumstances around it alone is we were not.
Vortex, that's what it is.
Yeah,
That's a portal, but it's a fun place to live, I'm telling you.
it is.
That hill.
Whoa! Call it what you like. I call it the Ghost of Cielo Drive. This is a sensational, salacious plug of this book. 10 years ago, to write this goddamn freaking thing. And I'm hey, people actually like it.
Wasn't that hill that the houses around? Wasn't that at one time burial grounds?
No, stop. Do not repeat Zach.
No, that is false information. Yeah.
Oh, that's where that came from. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's
Also,
where
Now you read from the book
from the
of
horse's mouth.
If
It's
you
more
hear
like
somebody
Frodo-
call him
Frodo
the
Baggins.
Those are the clown baggins. Oh, God.
if you hear somebody call him a poltergeist agent, that was also Zach Baggins.
If he had to swear it, what would his name be?
Idiot.
Hey, I'll tell you what though, Joe Rogan, I was telling John about it. That dude, oh man, he was picking on him big time.
Hold it. Who knows Joe Rogan? Stop. This is like, I've heard this goddamn son of a bitch thing. Who knows Joe?
I know Joe
I
Rogan. I would listen to his
know who he is,
podcast.
but
Well, we all know who he is, but I mean,
Oh,
who knows
yeah.
him? Does anybody know?
I never heard of him.
no. But I shared a video on my Facebook page of what he had to say about it. Oh my God, it's hilarious. John, did you see it?
Yeah,
Did
I
you
watched a portion of it on my lunch break. It was hilarious.
David, you gotta go watch it. You would appreciate it.
No, we gotta get Joe here at the house.
Right?
He's in LA. We gotta get his ass here to the house.
Oh, I wish I can get him over there. I like to meet him. He's cool.
Oh yeah,
I
he's
like
up
his
there.
podcast. His podcast is funny as fuck.
Here, I'm gonna read to you a little bit of my book.
Oh, sneak
That
peek.
you mentioned. This is free of course. Regarding some of the myths surrounding the Omen House. The first and most widely spread embellishment or non-truth about my house that was reported on the season 9 premiere episode of Ghost Adventures back in March of 2014 was that it was built on Native American ceremonial burial ground. Zach, the show's host, took the information that was told to me by Lisa Williams about the Native American on horseback who was possibly interred under the earth in the earthen wall room and ran with it. He was the first person who I actually came out on a TV show and made the Lisa Williams story known to the public at large. As you may remember, Lisa made a statement about the Native American on horseback who lost his balance and tragically died 200 plus years ago after tumbling down the hillside some 60 feet, and whose remains were left on the side of the hill and buried by mudslides and earth. On the show, I told this on camera to Zach. Well, in the very next scene, we heard him state that my home is built on Native American ceremonial burial grounds. That is not that, and that's not a good thing. I was at a loss for words, and I lost my mind the very first time I watched the episode, and I was pissed off. Seriously, someone asked me about my home, and I confided in him. The very first time I had made this public for the show's benefit. As it turned out, it was the highest rated regular season episode to date for them. I now wish to clear this up, and to tell all my readers out there, my house was not built on Native American ceremonial burial grounds. Some simple facts why it's not built. The problem with the idea itself was that the house sits on a slope of a hillside at about a 50-degree angle. In Benedict Canyon, there was plenty of flat land that would be much better served the needs of the Tonga tribesmen to have used for their burial grounds. Fact was, there were plenty of available space to use deep into Benedict Canyon back in the day, even into the mid-1850s. They were living up here. To be honest, there's no proof or evidence that the Tonga ever buried their dead up in Benedict Canyon to begin with. After all, the Tonga tribe was spread all over most of Los Angeles County, a large area as shown in the map on page 8. I personally believe this was all speculated by Zach Bagans in his book, and I won't mention the name of it, which I am written in about 3.5 pages, and where he claims the idea that Benedict Canyon was used as a burial site for the Tonga tribesmen, and in particular my property. I've done my research into those claims and could find nothing to support those ideas of his. Not a single piece of information validated any of what he said. Outside of the 3 Native Americans killed and interred at the battle site at Chevy Chase in Benedict Canyon in 1842, I could not find anything about Native American remains being found at all during construction in Benedict Canyon over the past 110 years. Therefore, I personally don't believe his claims or ideas of the area being used as a burial site and consider them nothing more than hyperbole and conjecture. Case closed. Baggins sucks.
Wow. I found that so, like, I don't know the word. I mean, the fact that
You don't know the word? It's called justification.
That's the first question that came to my mind about that. And there it is in the book. He explained. I never read his book, okay? But for some reason, that particular point came to my head, and there you have it. It's in the book explaining it. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I did my research where this guy's got pictures of Plains Indians all over the place in the show. And let's get this straight. If you think that Baggins didn't have anything to do with that orchestration of my episode, you're wrong. He is the executive producer of the show. He's overseeing everything. So when they said, let's do the Tonga tribes and how we're going to represent them, Zach had them think pictures of Plains Indians. And he's so unthorough and say, are these pictures of Native Americans in Southern California and LA? Because there are pictures of the Tonga tribes and they don't look anything like the guys in the Midwest with the feather headdress going all the way down with the teepees. It's like, you really want to play a bad picture, go listen to his crap. But people believe it like you. Scott Michaels of Dearly Departed Tourists.
Oh, I didn't put any faith in it. That's why I asked,
Others do. Others believe this shit. And I go, that's not even factually accurate. It's not like Zach's a anthropologist or an archaeologist.
Right.
He's a paleontologist. He's none of the above. He doesn't have a goddamn college degree from what I understand. So for him to make these spurious statements and people to believe them, which is worse. It's one thing for him to say it on television, la, la, la. It's when people take it for fact that you gotta be scared and go, holy crap, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Well, I did a Diary of Her Mind, Christina. Christine is here on panel with us, and she wants to share her story of what happened to her that kind of got her into the paranormal, and we kind of
nice. I'm looking forward to hearing this.
Oh yeah,
thanks, Sharpshooter.
Hello, everybody.
James the Mod God.
If I take any pauses, guys, I just need a cough, okay? I've been battling this flu.
You're awesome.
We'll feel better soon.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Just let it all out.
That's exactly how I feel. Can you do that again?
Look at David.
What the
Do it a
fuck
little
was
longer.
that? Bomb the asshole. What did you say, Jeff? Bomb the asshole into your mouth. Oh, what are we doing? The human centipede? Go take it away. Feel better though. Cough.
It's
Come
funny.
visit us, for God's sakes, you know. She thinks I'm kidding. Get over the cold and get over here.
Right? I need to get over this crap. Oh, goodness. It's been too
All right.
long.
So what do you have for us? Can't wait to hear this.
Oh, man. What didn't get me into the paranormal? You know, I'm just going to go with what's happened in the last 3 years, I guess. What's really shoved me into the paranormal. And I went through a lot of trauma. I was going through a lot of trauma and abuse and some shocking things that happened in my life. I'm not going to go into detail there. Just a shift. And another thing that happened to me during this trauma was this man who had murdered my uncle and drawn my baby cousin, what had been sitting on death row for almost 30 years. And I got the notice that he was finally being, sentenced to death by lethal injection. We got a date. So that was back in February of 2017. And I had been no stranger to having entities show up in my home. Well, this one particular day, I didn't go to witness this lethal injection. This is just kind of the start of things. I was sitting on the bed with my daughter, and I had been eating some cereal, and suddenly I flew off my bed, and I ended up on my hands and knees on the floor. I had milk and cereal all over me. How much force caused me, like that force that caused me to end up to fly off the bed, that was shocking. And my daughter's just sitting there like, what's going on? All of a sudden I was overcome by these emotions and I started crying. And instantly I knew, oh my goodness, this man who had murdered my uncle and my baby cousin was standing right before me. And it happened so quickly. He was apologizing to me for what he had done. And I just was sitting there. I sat up from my hands to my knees. I sat up and I sat back and I'm just listening to him while I'm weeping. Still having milk and cereal covered all over my body. And I end up, once everything's through and he's pretty much gone, I ended up grabbing my phone as quickly as I can, and I texted my aunt. And keep in mind, she's there. She's in the room witnessing him being executed. And I said, Aunt Debbie, James Bigby just showed up here, and he's apologizing to me for what he'd done. And she said, Christine, he was just pronounced. Now, how in the world could I have known that? That was intense. Some people wonder how quickly life reviews can happen. I'm starting to tell you, I've learned so many things about the other side, about how time is not linear. It does not work the same on this side. I started, in succession to that, I started hearing, my daughter and I started seeing these shadows in our home. We started seeing these white balls of energy. White feathers started to manifest out of nowhere. I would hear a choir of angels singing late at night, every single night for about 6 months. Now, another thing to keep in mind here is that I did not have any paranormal equipment. So when I say going old school paranormal, that's my lingo now. I wouldn't have called it something like that back then, but this is I'm talking about whipping out that old recorder that you had from college, and also getting your phone out and pressing record on your MP3, something that you can record MP3s with, and also doing some recording with videos. I'd have a man talking in my ear. That would scare the crap out of me. When he would come up to me and talk into my ear, I would scream for him to shut up because I did not know what was happening to me. But I'm telling you what, I got these choir of angels singing, coming through and everything. Then comes around the total solar eclipse, in August of 2017. And just to notate again, the execution of my uncle's murder had happened that February before. So I'd had all this stuff happening. My daughter was also too scared to go into her bedroom. She would not go in there. So she slept in the room. She slept in the room with me. She didn't even go into her room without my presence. Total solar eclipse happened. My daughter wakes me up and she says, "Mommy, do you hear that?" And it was 7:15 in the morning. We heard sounded trumpets. Not just me, my daughter, not just my daughter, but I heard it. And so did my husband. He heard the same thing, and he's a major skeptic. And we had just recently been back together after our second separation. So he wasn't really much to take in anything serious at that time. So I just whipped out my phone. I was just in the habit of recording everything. I started recording these sounds of these strange sounds that were coming from wherever they were coming from. I'm telling you what, within those trumpet sounds, there were voices. There was these two voices that were familiar to me that came through that were talking to me. And they said, "Christine, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be here." And it's interesting that they said that because I had kept hearing that man talk to me and tell me that in my ear, "You're not supposed to be here." And I would often tell him, "What do you mean by you're not supposed to be here? Where do you mean? Where am I not supposed to be?" They confirmed with me before I even found this out. They told me on audio, recorded this before I found out any legitimate proof. They said, "Your husband is cheating on you. He's got a separate bank account. You're not supposed to be here." Basically, we'd gotten back together and he was still doing whatever he was doing. So I didn't know any of that. So another valid proof of how would I know that when I didn't know that, and these voices coming through that I could not see at the time. Then a few days later, I am getting ready for bed. I'm just walking around the house, And all of a sudden I start feeling these spiders crawling up my legs. And I'm like, what in the heck? And I threw off my pants. There's nothing there. Put my pants back on. I feel these spiders crawling up my legs. And I'm freaking out. Well, all of a sudden, I start feeling like I'm burning from the inside out. My whole entire body starts to light up from the inside out, like I'm glowing. And I start hearing this strange sound, like the sound of jet engines, but a lot more intense. John kind of knows what this is. It's similar to the sound of when you're astral projecting, but let me tell you, this is when you're awake, okay? And I grew up near the Air Force Base, so I know what they sound like. They used to do the runs and everything, so I know what a jet engine sounds like. This is a lot more loud. So I didn't really believe in, I watched alien movies and all this other stuff. I don't really believe in all of it. I was just like, but I'm telling you what, I felt like I don't know what was going on. But all of a sudden, my blinds started rattling. Now, let me tell you, I was alone with my husband was working nights. I was home alone with my daughter. What would you do if you were alone with your kid and all of a sudden this starts happening to you? You're glowing from the inside out. I ran to my mirror and I could see myself glowing from the inside out. Wow. Let me tell you something. I took pictures the next day. I had what was equivalent to 2nd-degree burns on my chest and splotches on my body from burns, and I was emitting this higher frequency than what was usual, what was norm, okay? It was unusual. If I were to look it up, it would be called, radiation. So after that happens, I'm hearing the blinds rattle. I'm starting to hear this chanting from coming outside. So I'm already got my phone out, I'm recording. And I hear, get to the danger zone, get to the danger zone, get to the danger zone. And I'm thinking, where is the danger zone? Is the apocalypse happening? I didn't even really believe in the apocalypse. I didn't know what the heck was happening. But I ran over to my child, and all of a sudden, I felt I called my husband. I'm freaking out. He's saying, what the hell am I supposed to do? Call 911, call 911. I was like, how am I supposed to call 911? Because, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? So all of a sudden, my hair gets snatched back, and something presses me right where my third eye is. I scream and I snatch. I push myself forward. It pulls my hair back again and presses me right there on the forehead, right where my third eye is. All of a sudden, I could see everything that I could hear. And the only thing I can say is that these things that I first saw were like these, if you blow bubbles, that iridescent color on the outside of a bubble? That's what these little things look. These little creatures look like walking around my home. I didn't know what the heck they were. I was so scared. I was burning up and I was sweating my butt off. Went on for 2 hours. 2 hours. When I went back and I listened to that audio, it didn't sound, you have to get really deep into splitting apart the audio to listen to it, but those little weird sounds that you normally hear on those alien movies, like click, 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 click. It's a sound that I cannot even describe to you, but it didn't sound like Get to the Danger Zone on the audio, not on the surface. It sounds like something that doesn't sound like it's from anything I've ever heard. Let's just say that. So A couple of weeks after that, I am starting to have these visions, walking awake visions, where I'm seeing things wide awake. I'm seeing portals open up out of the wall. Another whole dimension comes through. 1 week before the Vegas shootings, I didn't know it was going to be Vegas, but I saw Vegas happen a week before it happened. And my husband was the witness to that because he was there. It was like I was in combat. I was seeing the portal open up out of my wall. I was very confused. I saw these lights. I didn't know if this was weapons being fired. I fell to the ground and covering my head. My husband's like thinking I'm nuts or something. And I was like telling him exactly what I saw. And he's just thinking, oh my God, she's losing it. She's going crazy. He believed me. He sent 1 week after I had that vision, he freaked out because he said everything. He sent me the clip immediately when it came on the news and the articles. I cried so bad whenever I saw everything. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I saw. This is exactly what I saw. And it hurt me inside because I'm like, when you see something like that, you're like, oh my God, well, why was I given this information, and what could I have done to help prevent it? I mean, but I don't think that they gave it to me to prevent it. I think that I was given this download as proof that I'm not going nuts or whatever. So after that, so my husband's believing me on this much. He's like, yeah. I was sitting up one night. I'm very into this video, wide awake. And all of a sudden, I saw this large being, bronzed feet, white linen, hands of a man. He reaches out his right hand, grabs my right hand. I felt like I was at home. I didn't realize he pulled me from my body. I thought I was still in my body for some reason at first, until I was like completely free. But that was like a love I'd never felt anywhere ever before. He had the white wings. I was spoken coordinates. I was spoken not just biblical verses, but other text to read and look up. I'm talking about old ancient languages that aren't even spoken today. You have to really look it up from when the first settlers came over here and wrote it down in their books. It's very, very hard to find. There's these 6 dialects that I've been spoken, and it's trippy. But I was flown north, sat in the east, and I was faced west. I didn't understand anything until later on, but a lot of what I had experienced can be explained in the book of Ezekiel. That's as much as of a layman's term that I can get it to you guys. All I can say is if you read it from a metaphorical standpoint. Think you can't read that book and say, oh yeah, and take it for the words on the surface. You have to have a lot of intellectual knowledge, and you have to know your root words to really understand what's being spoken there, as far as what like Ezekiel's will truly means. Look into says, look into what maybe you really think that these maybe UFOs are out there. But yeah, that's like the most trippy stuff that I've been through. I'm telling you, John, it goes a lot deeper than that. But that's
Oh yeah.
some of you guys have already heard this.
I think I've heard your story a couple times, but I love the new variations of it. Some like every time you tell it, it goes more and more into detail, and it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it's like, I guess I go more into detail because sometimes I try to give you guys like a quick, brief overview, of what happened. I don't want to
That's
go
pretty
because I
crazy.
could.
That's
Yeah, it is.
wow.
So yeah, but as far as if somebody were to ask me, do you believe in aliens? I will say, well, what is your definition of an alien?
Right?
I mean, that can be so many different things. I mean, I'd tell them to look up the actual word, the original meaning of that word. I believe in interdimensional beings.
Oh yeah.
Just the same as they can communicate with us, just the same as these entities and these ghosts, paranormal entities. I mean, who's to say what you're really talking or what kind of entity or being you're really speaking with anyway when you go to these locations?
Yep.
I mean, are you talking to a man from Mars or a woman from Venus? I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Sorry, I had to crack a joke.
Yes, that was funny.
That was.
Hey, what's up, Bradford
Shut the fuck
TV? Welcome.
Tommy, you're not on camera, so shut up.
You have a little co-host just like
Goddamn
me.
time, I swear to God, I'm gonna take it out of
Is that your black cat, David?
Sorry.
Is that your black cat?
No, that my black cat's quiet as a mouse. That's Tommy, my toiger. Come here, Tommy.
Okay, cool.
Tommy, come here. Oh, here he comes. Yeah, you, the mouth. Come here, mouth. Yeah, mouthy. Come here. Come here. Get over here right now.
Oh
Don't give me.
man.
Let's just get. Thank you very much. Get over here. Ready?
Tommy is all.
You ready? Is that your answer? You're ready. Oh, you
He's all.
Sounds like
he's
my
all
rooster.
talk.
Oh, cute.
Say hi, Tom. But now you're not
Tom.
Night, Tom.
comfortable and talk. I talk. Oh boy. Say hi, Tommy. He's a big 18-pound pussy cat.
Hey, so David, how many people you got coming so far?
Oh, boyger. Say hi, Tom.
Hi, Tommy.
Oh, God, you're all over it. What? Thanks, Tom. Oh, fuck.
Tommy.
Tommy, say hi. You'll see him in a week.
Oh yeah.
How many people do you have coming, David?
I don't know. Ask John and Joe. They're the ones who are in charge of this.
Oh shit.
It's all them, babe.
Oh man.
I was listening to your story, Joe. That was pretty interesting about the pitchfork. I was
Yeah.
just wondering why that was in your consciousness of the pitchfork.
I don't know. That house in Simi Valley was pretty bad. It was no joke, and that's what got me into this. I always wanted to get into this, but couldn't meet the right people. And then you talk about it, they think you're a freak.
Well, you're not. Well, if you're a freak, you're in the presence of freaks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice divisive way to say you're an asshole, so shut up and don't talk again. You're in the presence of freaks if they call you a freak.
You should feel at home here.
Oh yeah. If you're on my stream, you should definitely feel at home here talking about this.
You know what's so funny is a lot of people. It has happened to a lot of people, but they won't admit it. They won't come out and talk about it. But they're out there. There's a lot of us out there. They kind of stay hidden.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Yeah, they want to be quiet.
Well, that was me for a while there. I didn't start speaking up until, I guess, earlier. I tried to talk about this stuff, though, about the experiences I was going through at first. And I'm telling you, my power was getting shut off. My phone was getting tapped.
Wow.
It was pretty scary. I'm not joking. My best friend who lives in Maryland, she wasn't so sure, you know. She's raised by a minister. She's married to a minister. So she didn't know what to think of any of this stuff. But, you know, she can understand from like a biblical standpoint. But as far as that goes, I mean, but when she could actually hear the phone and I was already warning her, yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about, oh no, my power got shut off. No, I'm talking about succinct. I'm talking about at the same time, both of them happening, boom, more than one time. And it was
crazy.
talking to, I even once got, one time wanted to be interviewed by somebody over in California. And I was like, I didn't want to be interviewed because I had different opposing viewpoints than them. But, and they had, government link ups and stuff. And I don't know. And it's like, well, I don't know. It was a little fishy there. I mean, as far as when I say fishy, it's just like, how do you get all your intel? I mean, do you have like, are you in with them? Or, you know, why do you know all this stuff? I don't know. And why do you want to interview me? You know, I don't know. It was a little different. But, yeah, I mean, even I was doubting myself, but it was happening way too much. It was for me to even think I was going, you know, you think you're just spooking yourself out sometimes. You'll start doubting yourself. You're like, nah, whatever. I'm just spooking myself out. I'm just whatever. But then it happens again, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
And again. But then my best friend after that, no. She stopped talking to me. She's like, Christine, we will not talk about this anymore on the phone, okay?
We got
Period.
Jay Lawler in the house from Team Johnny from Johnny Paranormal. He's one of Johnny's.
Johnny Paranormal's awesome. I just watched him yesterday.
He's been in Japan the last month filming in the Japanese suicide forest.
The suicide forest, yeah.
Yep. I gotta say, oi.
Yeah, oi.
Oi.
Yeah, he's
Ohio.
He's actually a good paranormal investigator.
He's an incredible.
He's really good.
Yeah, he doesn't really use any of those spirit boxes at all. It's strictly EVP recorders, and he's like legit. I mean,
good for him.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
Well, at least he doesn't play the game of let's see what the freaking radio frequency scanner comes up with. Because it's not a voice of a spirit to begin with. It's a frequency. Yeah. It's picking up an intermittent transmission of a radio frequency of a transmission, a commercial, you know, anything it could be. But it's not the voice of a disembodied spirit like we've gotten here without any of that crap.
I mean, there's times with the spirit box that some of the
responses it does work sometimes.
Some of the responses that
they're programmable, guys. Just remember that they are programmable.
I mean, that's true. They are programmable. It's
Thank you, John.
It's just the fact that some of the stuff that we've had on the spirit box, it's hard for me to say that it couldn't have been that because it was a direct response to our answers. And yes, it could have been completely random, but it was almost too much of a coincidence to...
Well, you bring that up. Okay. I have something to bring up to you guys.
Okay.
Just to get your perspective. Now, you know, John knows that I practice meditation.
Right.
And I know I have actually... I just got my SB7 a few months ago. But before that, I just, had my recorder, And I did play around with some ITC apps. Now, another thing I did, I don't think I've ever spoken about this on a live stream before. I did also test these things out, recording them, during a meditative state to see what kind of stuff I would get. Now, another thing too is I talked to John about this. If you're going to have any ITC apps on your computer or on your phone, you're not going to want to have any of your information on there.
No.
Because I agree with David on this instinct. Computer generated stuff, it can pull just tidbits of information. However, like John says, there's some things on there that there's just no way it could have been known.
Oh yeah, like I remember the
things
one time that specifically that I was like mind blown is actually I was with Joe and he can vouch for this, is when we were at the Las Cruces Adobe and I said, who are the spirits of the 2 prostitutes who were murdered here? And it said 3 of us. And I didn't know that I was actually incorrect, and there was actually 3 prostitutes who had been murdered at this place.
Well, I would be a little bit skeptical. A little bit on the 3 because you get 3 is a very common number, a universal number. It's a magic number, baby. No. Just like 7.
Elastic Rock, baby.
And 11.
I
want to do a card trick sometime on my live stream just to show you guys. I was just taught this card trick, and it's a magic trick, guys. But it shows you guys an example of something that's not so magical. Even though I should just present it as a magic and just let everybody know I'm psychic. I'm just kidding.
Everything is mathematical.
I knew. This is your number.
Baby, number 1.
There's no such thing as magic. Everything's a mathematical equation.
Right. I mean, there's universal numbers. So I would be a little skeptical on that. However, one thing I wanted to point out on this thing, I've noticed we've done a lot of live streams where, I believe in the rainbow, like what I call like the rainbow bridge effect. When you bring, like, we have all these people in chat right now. If we were to do a spirit box session, what we're doing is we're essentially combining all of our consciousness, right? Blah, blah, blah. Now, I wouldn't necessarily take Robert, John, and Joseph, and Paul. I don't know any regular names, common names to heart, right? Stephen, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, gosh.
What I would say more so is that I've learned that spirits, if you remember a quote, it's not just from the biblical, it's this.
I gotta go, guys.
All right, Joe. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see you in a week, babe.
All right. All right, you guys have fun. God bless everyone. See you later.
See you, Joe.
Much love. Keep it real, Joe.
All right, you too, man. Peace.
Have a good night, bud.
So like, I'm trying to think what I was gonna say.
Biblical.
Yeah, as far as these biblical, I just forgot what I was gonna say. I'm sorry. I don't even remember. I don't remember that one little section of what I was gonna say. However, I'm gonna just specify on the whole, combining your consciousness. We all have an aura, right? So we have an energy field. Well, think of that energy field if we're thinking thought, and that thought is circulating around this energy field. Do you think that radio frequency could pick up that thought in any way, right? Is what I'm trying to say. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, John?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I think, I don't know, some people like will hear their own voices on spirit boxes, or not just spirit boxes, but voice recorders.
Right.
And some people will say, oh, it's a mimic or whatever. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's actually you. maybe it's just out of your own energy field that you're thinking.
That's actually a pretty wild concept. But, I mean, I wouldn't put it past anything's possible.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I totally believe that's possible. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, since the beginning of man, it's widely known that only a small percentage of our brain is used. So what's going on with the, rest of that brain? What could you possibly delve into in those areas of the brain that you're not using on a daily basis? Somewhere within there's abilities that we just haven't discovered yet. What's the word for mind control and stuff like that? Telekinesis.
Yeah.
I have seen evidence on tape from back when I was a kid in the 70s and 80s where, technology didn't even exist. This is on like 9mm reel-to-reel tapes and stuff like that, audio and video. I've seen evidence of people using telekinesis powers, and I can't disprove it, but I can't say 100% yes it's happening, but I'm saying yes, it's very possible and plausible. When you think
thinking of a psychic, I mean, they're basically, you go back to the Rainbow Bridge effect, you're tuning into their energetic field, that basically merging with their energetic field, and you're telekinetically picking up on their thought, their Tao, basically. I don't know, picking up on their psychic vibrations, basically reading their mind. You know what I mean?
Right.
How far does the mind expand? You know what I mean? I mean, that's pretty deep. But I did remember what I was going to say, as far as not just in the biblical, but in others. Speaking in parables, I was going to say, as a paranormal investigator, I've learned to not always take any word that you hear, and also as well as names, any name that you hear, whether it be on a spirit box or on a recorded device. Don't always take that name just for the name. Do your research. Look at the Hebrew meaning of that name. He speaks in parables. There might be a meaning behind that name. Maybe the spirit doesn't want to say, tune into your crown chakra. I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe they're going to want to say, why were we given these names to begin with? We were named after something that meant something.
Look, I mean, being a bit of a being in a medium spectrum myself. I mean, I've learned over the years that when they do try to communicate to us, for the most part, it's very cryptic. Like, for some reason, I've never had anybody come through and just speak a full sentence to me, explain exactly what this is, who this is, and so it's always cryptic. They'll give like keywords or key images and stuff like that. David, shaking his head.
I hate to say that I have the religious stuff I have never experienced here, and I have to say that maybe that's akin to everybody's personal, upbringing and personal bias and belief system. But as I said on this earlier on a podcast, if you were an alien and you were above looking down at the planet Earth, you'd say that human beings are the most egocentric, unbelievably arrogant, adolescent creatures on the face of the universe, in the universe.
Yeah.
For this, because, you got to remember, each one of us has our own religious upbringing, and some of us have left that long behind us.
And I would use more.
That was man's interpretation.
Yeah, I put no emphasis on.
But when you go beyond that, when you go, that's why I say don't look at the word.
like an alien looking down at us, saying this species of humanity, it's fragmented and segregated by location, by color, by sexual orientation, by gender, by religion. The aliens look at us and go, you guys are such a mess. Because from their perspective down upon us, what we feel and interpret, it's all, they say each one of you is programmed according to what you're raised on, and that's what you see. Because I'm trying to say, this is when you're saying about cryptic, the spirits that have talked to me have not only spoken clearly and haven't made any mincing of words or kind of cryptic. No, they said, get her out of the house. It was
I didn't.
And don't. I mean, every single time I've had an interaction or heard stuff, and Don, you and Joe. Well, Joe's gone.
Yeah, just to clarify, I wasn't saying that doesn't exist. I'm just saying how it works with me.
Well, he's
because everybody's going to be different.
Don't experience it differently.
Right.
Well, think about it, because like David, that's how you're think on a conscious level.
I'm saying from up there, the aliens looking at us, saying, you know, if you didn't have all of these kind of, how should you say, lenses that you all have put on and basically these contact lenses been impregnated with, you'd all understand that it's not so much of that each one is right, it's that each one's seeing it through a different perception, the same picture.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you can think of it on a smaller scale as well. You know,
I mean, depending on
through somebody's window.
I just don't get the direct
from the outside,
versus the cryptic message. And every time I hear them, they're like, "That's an asshole." It's like, or effing pricks. And I'm thinking, who? And then we find out who they're talking about, and we go, "Holy crap! They were talking about these people." And it's like,
because they can talk to you on a different level than that.
And I know I've talked to other people as well who receive these kinds of informations clearly, like bluntly, just like you do. I was just, out of my personal experience, they don't come to me like totally I don't know what the word would be, but like it's not always clear to me what they're trying to say. Like I have to pretty much decrypt the information, put it all
deeper, but at least you do look
the whole message. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, what I'm saying to you is that I'm not hearing it. It's recorded on cameras in the house. I have 19 cameras with audio, and they record stuff, and it's like it's uncanny, and it's like voices. Somebody's name, like, what are you doing in my bedroom? The hell is that? And it's like on a digital recorder and on the camera recorder. We've captured the same voice at the same time, saying that correct sentence. Hello, what are you doing in my bedroom? And it's like, well, there's.
That's the thing. Mechanical devices will pick up a lot more frequencies of sound than our human ear or our brain can register sometimes. That's why when they come to me, a lot of it's broken up. If I had a digital recorder and I was able to pick up the disembodied voice that is talking directly to me, I would probably hear something totally different, which I have in the past. For instance, I was on a live stream, they were doing EVPs, and what I heard through the EVP, I was also getting, but I was picking up more off the EVP than when I was actually getting, but I could pick up some keywords. I put it together. I was like, wait, they're talking to me, but yet they're also talking through the EVPs. And I'm hearing words off the EVP that I wasn't getting myself.
Yeah, and another thing too, like
words.
You take two recorders, you can place them side by side, and you might get two totally different responses.
Not here. I've had 3 recorders on the table during a seance.
I'm saying you might.
And we had somebody with a digital recorder on his hand, and he was recording it.
And that's a good thing.
3 of the mediums at the same time had this man. Let it go, mija.
And you just had an orb flash by your head.
Let it go, mija.
Hey, speak of the devil, guess who just joined us in the chat? Johnny Paranormal.
Hey, Johnny.
Hey,
Boy.
there's a man of the hour.
House.
How's China?
But I was saying, as far as like the recorders go, I mean, it's good to have that scientific evidence there, or the paranormal.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's what I could never
interesting if you've got
understand.
two different spirits, one speaking in this device, one speaking in that device.
Right.
But sometimes you might have them going ahead and just record on all the devices. That's wow, they get more proof. But
What I can never understand is the people who divide the two. You know, like they say you can't mix science with religion or whatever and stuff like that. Like, I've always believed, even as a child, even going to Bible school and stuff like that, I always believed they got to go hand in hand. You know, you can't just believe in the religion without believing in the science as well.
Well, I believe that once you decode that, though, I mean, David might have a different perspective, and that's all right. We've got to.
You can't have. First, I'll tell you this: why you can't have A and B together, because they conflict.
Oh, okay. Well, you're speaking of the apes now.
There's
Yeah.
Science and religion have always conflicted since the Middle Ages, kids. If you ever heard of Michelangelo and Leonardo and Galileo, who spent many years in jail.
Oh yeah.
Please, let's not try to merge science and religion. They don't go, no matter what you try. I'm sorry, there's oil and water. They don't mix. I'm sorry, they don't. I've played this game in this house for 17 years and heard these stories. They don't mix. Religion is a belief system created by man, no matter what choice of religion you want to choose.
And it's honestly religion.
Science can help religion, and religion can help science.
Religion was created by man. But when you're talking about spirituality, the original, that's why I say you.
I should have used the word paranormal, not religion.
We can't be small. I don't want to get on the topic, but let's just nip it in the bud right here. Just really fast. We all know when it was created, it was during the times of when we were having war. All I can say.
What are we talking about? Religion? I mean, I know history pretty well.
Nip it in the bud. I don't want to, because we don't want to get on a religious debate. But religion was created by man.
I'm talking about all religions. I'm not talking about Christianity, because that's
right.
Religion.
But whenever you
focus on one, let's remember the world is made up more than just of
right.
There's a lot more than just that out there. So,
but yeah,
all religions are man created.
Yeah, let's move on from this topic, because this can go on forever. Let's move on. John, switch the subject.
Okay.
I don't talk religion.
Yeah, let's not. I don't like to talk religion either.
Spiritual, but I don't believe in religion.
Yeah, but it could go. All I can say to that.
Put it this way, you gotta remember, guys. Science doesn't believe we exist, meaning that the paranormal exists.
Oh yeah, we are the most underdog-rated science there is.
I don't know if I exist or you. No.
The paranormal exists. You twat waffles, my God. What's with you guys? I said the paranormal.
I don't think.
No, but honestly.
Cue the X-Files music.
I don't think anybody that's ever had even one experience in their life
doesn't exist on the other side. Am I really existing, or do I exist yet?
Time does not exist in space. That is not to say it doesn't exist. It does not exist in space.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we can't exist without the paranormal existing. You know what I'm saying?
I said science. As I said, guys, I said science doesn't believe in the paranormal.
That's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking about religion that doesn't believe in the paranormal, and science that doesn't believe in the paranormal, and you're talking about trying to merge the two.
But
on our behalf of the.
When you say religion don't believe in it, are you talking about like? I mean, because I know a lot of people who are very religious, but have
devils. We'll start from there. I don't believe in demons and devils. That's
Okay.
what up to.
I don't believe in that either. When you get through it all.
Angels with Wings, which was created by a man who painted.
Right. I agree with you there.
I don't know. Boomer can agree with you there, but I know what I've seen.
I think the idea of the feathers is more of a symbolic thing.
What does the Hindu and the man that's from the Tenrikyo Japanese religion see? He sees what he's been created and stimulated and told what he's supposed to see.
But what do you do
Right.
whenever you catch? Okay, then it goes back to consciousness on why you would catch something like that on your camera.
You show me a picture of an image of a spirit with wings on, and I'll award you an award.
Well, during a live stream, we
we
actually had a feather manifest. So how does that?
What is a feather?
That's what I'm saying. I think the feathers are more of a symbolic thing.
With wings. What's the sign? Excuse me. The leap from one feather to a man that is there, incarnation with wings. Do you ever think beyond just what the assertion is? This is a religious. It came from his wings. The angel.
But I'm telling you something, David. What I saw.
The feather was symbolic of something that's not necessarily having to do with an angel.
Yeah, but at the same time, David, what I saw, it had wings, but it's never been described in anything I've read thus far. So I can't explain it to you. It looked different to me.
Your upbringing, with your religious upbringing,
I don't know what to tell you.
That you never as a child, you never heard of the stories of angels and wings when you're growing up in school.
You know what? When I was a child, angels with wings, they look like they were supposed to look like you and I. But this one didn't. This did not look like. This was a creature. This was a creature. I have to draw it for even. I've never seen anything like
Come on,
it.
shut up and don't laugh. God,
No. I was reading the comments. Sorry.
So I can't. But what? I don't know. Like I can't say what it is. I don't know what it is.
Well, I'm saying is the fact that you found a feather. It's just simply as you found a feather. That doesn't.
No, I have a whole collection of them. They still fall today.
Haunted Jim.
But if you were listening to my story.
Hang on a second, guys. I want to answer Haunted Jim here real quick.
What the fuck is this? We're not a fucking political show.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd much rather sit here and debate angels because it's easier to debate angels than it is Donald Trump. So we're gonna off the slate.
Yeah, we're gonna keep politics off this stream. Period.
Yes, that's my
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I think we all can agree with that one.
You want to see a stream go to hell in a handbasket? Start talking about politics.
About religion. Let's get off of the topic.
Yeah.
Hey, we were back up to 32 viewers. Thanks, guys.
No. Anybody else have any experiences they want to share?
I don't know. I don't know I don't know what I encountered was an angel. But when I got hit by the drunk driver back in 2013, I definitely believed that there was somebody watching over me, because when I had gotten the accident and I had the door pried open by a supposed Marine coming home from being on duty, and he went to go visit his family here on the Central Coast, he had pulled me out of the car, and I've only talked to him once since that incident, and then he kind of vanished. I mean, very well, he could have gone overseas and whatnot, but I mean, that guy, I think, was either guided by something spiritual, or, I mean, it's just, he just happened to be there at that exact time and watched the whole thing unfold, and then stay to pull me out of the car wreck and wait for EMTs. And I mean, to me, he was my angel that saved my life. And if it wasn't for him, I would have died in that car.
Didn't the thing blow up afterwards? Mark, you said that to me, John, that the thing caught on fire after you got out?
No, so I had a heart attack after I got out of my car. My heart stopped. I had a Mazda, and so back then in 2011 is when Mazda started creating what a lot of manufacturers.
The RX-5 or RX-7?
No, I had a Mazda Speed 3, and what they did with the new hatchbacks is what they do with our current BMWs that I sell, and the engine dislodges, disconnecting the brakes, the brake lines, the oil lines, the gas lines, and the electrical lines. It all comes out and the engine drops. So that's exactly what my car did. It worked to manufacturer standards. The thing is the airbags in my car were from a aftermarket Japanese company, and they were defective.
Yeah, I gotta go.
And so I ended up breaking my cheekbone, I ended up breaking my nose, my jaw, and losing 70% hearing in my ear because of the defective airbag.
Oh my god.
Oh wow, that explains it. So you never got the face fix then?
Jesus Christ.
Just messing with you. I love you, you know that.
I know. But yeah, I mean, I suffered for over a year because of that accident, but it was all worth it in order to have a second chance and to get to where I am now.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was not an easy road, and it's definitely something that I'm grateful for, that I went through, and I know that's gonna sound crazy to a lot of people. But I am incredibly grateful for going through that experience because I've been able to inevitably help others who have gone through similar circumstances. And that wasn't the first time I died either.
Life more too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the first time I died. This is the second time.
Yeah. My cousin just recently, about 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was, had that exact same experience. Of course, it was to his fault. He was drinking and driving, and he literally died too in his car accident and had come back. And it worked for a while. He had a new outlook on life and everything and all that, But yeah, an experience like that just makes you realize how valuable life really is, and you start to appreciate the smaller things in life as well. So I can totally relate to what you're saying, where it was a horrible thing, but it was something you needed to happen in your life to make you realize that,
Now, the subsequent other car accidents that I involved myself into were actually, so after that one, I had 2 more car accidents. 2 of them were my fault, 2 of them weren't. And I've learned, after those car accidents, it really made me hate driving, period. And I drive for a living.
You sell cars. What do you mean you drive for a living?
Yeah. I sell cars and I deliver them to customers' houses.
Are you a taxi car? Do you work for Uber?
I actually used to be a.
What the fuck do, you son of a bitch? You drive for a living. I sell used cars and new cars. I drive home the deals every single day.
I used to
get a car once a month, so I drive for a living.
No, I actually used to drive for Uber and Lyft.
But you now work for a car dealership.
Yeah, no, now I work for a car dealership.
You drive home the deals.
Embellishments.
Really? Do you work for... Jesus.
He drives a Peterbilt.
I can't wait till next Tuesday night for this shit to happen here for real.
Oh, yeah. Every time I go to David's, it's a really interesting...
For that.
I drive for a living.
It'll be interesting to see.
Race car driver, no. Taxi,
Oh.
no. Uber, no.
I remember I was in Palm Springs and I called David. I said, "Hey man, do you mind if I stop on at your house on my way back?" He's like, "Sure." I was there like an hour and a half later.
You were more than here, like 2 hours. He said, "Oh crap, I gotta get up to back home." It's like, well, you know, you can stay the night. No, I gotta get back. Oh God, was that fun?
I made it home in like 3 hours.
Opportunity to do your Trump impression.
Now we're going politics again?
No, just the idea of like politicians stretch the truth a bit all the time. You should have said that sentence in a Trump. Yeah, I drive for a living because I can't do it like he can, but I want to hear that sentence from John with his Trump impression. I drive for a living.
I drive for a living like I have the best job in the whole wide world. In fact, nobody drives better than me. My steering wheel is huge.
I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack, I swear. Oh, he gets me every time with that shit.
Oh, man. Yeah, I do the impression a little too well. It's funny because I have like a software that I like boomers where I can change my face into Trump's or any character, and I kind of developed like these different voices for all the characters on Snap Camera. So like Trump is just natural because I find the way he talks is highly entertaining. He's like, "It's gonna be huge. I have the best policies." He's incredibly egotistical and narcissistic. And so it's like really easy to impersonate him. So it comes natural like watching him on TV.
I think they should come out with like a animated movie in the, you know how like they did Batman Lego and all that? They should do a Trump Lego movie with him building the wall with Legos. CBS, you do steal that. I want a piece of that one.
Oh Lord and Jesus!
You're terrible. You guys are just. What about the little Mexican? Little Mexican Lego.
Man, all up there trying to build their Lego ladders. You know?
And out on the other side of the road is Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh man, don't get me started on Rosie. Holy shit. What was it? 92, 93? I can't remember, where she had to sing the national anthem for one of the Super Bowls or something, or...
Hey, Jay, have a good night, brother.
Oh,
that's not Rosie O'Donnell. That's Roseanne Barr you're thinking.
Oh, O'Donnell. Okay, my bad. I'm thinking Roseanne Barr, aren't I?
Roseanne Barr.
Yeah.
I'll say, can you say?
Yeah. My God.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That's Roseanne.
Yeah, I do respect Roseanne O'Donnell, though. Yeah, I just got them confused. That's my brain. Sorry. But, yeah. My God.
Johnny Paranormal's dying in the chat.
Yeah.
Glad we could entertain, Johnny.
Oh, if you go to his streams, they get out of control.
Wasn't he got like 68,000 subscribers or something like that? I was just there. I can't remember. This guy, like,
next week, John.
I would probably fall flat on my face if he came to my lives one time.
No, my daughter just put Zach Baggins and David Omen in the same sentence and shoot her out.
Wait. Read what Beth Plant just said.
62.
Guys, read what Beth Plant said. No, my daughter just put Zach Baggins and David Omen in the same sentence. I chewed her out.
Well, I mean, I have to admit, anytime I think of, ever since I saw that episode, every time I think of Dave, he comes to mind. I'm like, God, what a fucking jackass. That Zach is.
I know how you feel about me now. now.
No, I actually found myself mumbling the words. I feel so sorry for Dave right now. After watching that episode y'all led me to, I watched it on Hulu, and since I got rid of my Hulu. So but I went to that episode because you guys directed me there, and I'm like, I managed to sit through the whole thing. At the end, I remember saying, "Oh my God, I feel so sorry for this guy. He had to suffer that."
Boy, when
Like,
you say that, like, I suffered that.
I mean, if Zach Baggins ever came knocking at my door, I'd probably just kick him in the balls.
So what'd you watch on Hulu?
The episode where the Ghost Adventures went to David Ullman's house. What was it? Season 9, episode 1 or something?
Yeah.
Your episode, yeah.
Was
But,
that was like a long time. Well, yeah, that's a long
I mean,
time.
that totally corrupted you.
I'm trying to remember where I first saw you on the show,
That was
David.
2014, I think it was, when it aired. The first one. Then it was on the Aftershocks, which was an after job on my ass that I didn't see coming, but I should have. Cracker ass.
Oh man.
Well, I'm just trying to think. Where's the first show that I saw you on? I think it.
I actually
Ghost
am
Hunters,
surprised
that's
that
right.
they.
Ghost Adventures. Don't confuse them. Ghost Hunters is Caps.
Yeah, but
Ghost
Tom
Adventures
was
is Zach.
13 years ago. I've been on the air now for 13 years.
Yeah. So was it Ghost Adventures?
You saw me first on Ghost Hunters because that was in 2000.
Yeah, the Ghost Hunters,
Oh,
right?
really? I didn't see that one.
And then-
I'll have to check that one out.
And then there was My Ghost Story, Paranormal Witness, Haunted History, Ghost Adventures, and then Aftershocks. And then the two in the UK, Searching for Satan, which aired on
Did you find them?
2006. Do you hear that? 666. And then what was it? Dead Famous Live was here. And then there was a French TV show and a Japanese TV show that have been here as well.
Yeah, because I'd seen you.
Was it like one of those crazy Japanese game shows?
Jesus, no, this isn't where they put them in the glass coffin and put up with worms, spiders, snakes, and the whole 9 yards.
Oh, kind of like Fear Factor.
Hey, don't tempt me with a good time.
John likes worms. Keep that in mind, everybody. John likes worms crawling in and out.
In the spirit of Halloween, I'm down.
The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out. The worms
Did you read?
in Johnny's scalp.
Oh my God! Did you read Johnny Paranormal's post? He said after one bottle of whiskey, Rosie kind of looks hot to do it in Australia.
Figures the ex-penal colony is desperate for anything.
Oh shit!
God. Hey, by the way, do you guys want to hear my mashup of Zach Baggins here at the house having his meltdown? And the
Oh, yeah.
Get knocked over. I can play you this. It's funny as all hell, and it's
Okay.
authentically Zach Baggins. I've looped his when the figurine gets knocked over in the.
Oh, yeah.
I don't show this. It's like I've got 8 views. It's unlisted, but I'll play it for you guys right now. Here we go.
Hey, you can always share it on screen too if you wanted to.
How the hell does that work?
Do screen share.
The little button on the bottom that says
At the
share.
bottom.
Here it is. Listen.
Guys. No, you can't see it. Open the door. The one just fell over. Dude, black film, he just fell over. That's what I see. When it went over, it was Hey, when it fell, five times it lost when it fell.
Oh Lord.
Bill, no, it didn't even go off.
Wow.
Wow.
Today, Junior.
Hey, Junior.
Every time when I hear that, it brings me right to that Billy Madison scene.
Yeah.
Today, Junior.
Oh, Jesus.
Gina's hysterical. Zach's afraid of his own shadow.
I tell you, I mean, I think I was able to sit through 3 full episodes when I first started watching it. I thought it was pretty cool until the first time that I kind of was disappointed. They visited the prison, and they were going down the catwalk, and way at the other end of the catwalk, there was a sound or a shadow or something, and everybody says, "What the hell was that?" And they all start heading for the door. I'm like, okay, this is a little ridiculous. And then the other episode that I saw, this is what made me stop watching the show. They were in some kind of basement or something, and there was like this little crawl area with dirt and dust and cobwebs all over. No, and they found this bone, apparently, up under in this crawl space. And they held it up. And this bone looked like it had just been thrown in there. Like there was no dust, no dirt, it was clearly a chicken bone. And they were trying to think it may have been a fingered bone to a body or something like that. And I mean, it was almost white. Like, I mean, it was perfectly clean. Like somebody just bleached it over there. And I'm like, all right, this is crap. I can't continue watching this show. And I stopped watching it. And that was about 10 years ago, when I had cable. But I was like, yeah, I'm done with this shit. Wow, yeah. I'm sure if you actually saw that particular episode, you probably would have never agreed to it. You would have known right off what bullshit they were. But, yeah.
Gina's right. He has gotten too big for his britches. I mean, the ultimate disrespect is having Sharon Tate's wedding gown in the same room displayed next to Charles Manson's blood and ash portraits.
Oh my God.
The flying F you know what is going on there.
Yeah, that's the biggest case of FU. And then a thing he just did, he bought the La Bianca house.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus.
Johnny. Read Johnny's
It's a Bowflex commercial. Erica, right on.
Exactly. Like you would say.
There was this funny skit.
I mean, that's another thing. Like the all black with the black T-shirt and all that and everything, just kind of like, I mean, come on, this guy's trying too fucking hard here.
And then there was this one comedy that was hilarious.
Yeah. The Dapper Dan hair look.
And my eyesight's going because I was in the demon house.
Yeah. Oh my God, I just saw Trump right there. No.
Hi, Tina. Who's Fitzgerald? Who's Fitzgerald? I just saw Fitzgerald said, hi, David.
Come on. Zach Baggins will get possessed at a child's birthday party.
Stitches! You ever see that comical horror movie, Stitches, about the clown that dies at a child's birthday party?
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd make a great Stitches. Saying it would give him too much credit. But Stitches, I can see that.
Beth is killing me. And it's Z-A-K for Zach, not Z-A-C-H, by the way. Yeah. Stupid Zach, like it's a hack.
Oh, wow, that's messed up.
By the way, here's a little tidbit of information. I'm now in discussions with the Dr. Phil show. And yes, Dr. Phil John lives up there.
Yeah. Literally, he lives like right on the other side of David Ellman's house.
Here's the kicker. He knows who the fuck I am.
Wow, that's weird. I mean, Dr. Phil would be the last person I would expect to even show any kind of interest in the paranormal.
I didn't say he had any interest in the paranormal. I said he knows who the fuck I am.
Oh, okay.
House as well.
I get it. Yeah.
He's executive producer who I talked to the 4 producers from the show that do segments for the show. They said, "Oh yeah, the executive producer was talking about being over at Doc's house on the balcony and says, yeah, we can look right down on David's house. We know where he lives." I'm like, holy shit!
Wow.
Dr. Phil knows where the fuck I live.
I'm surprised he even knows who you are.
I couldn't believe it, but they're trying to get me on the show. I said, well, if you get me on the show, they said, well, we need controversy. I said, well, I mean, we could obviously get Diary to come out so we could have this.
That's so religious thing.
Hey, if you want controversy, ask them to bring Zach Baggins on the show.
See that?
It'll be a match made in hell.
No, but I said, I don't want to do that. But I said, you know what you could do? I said, reach out to Zach Baggins. He loves attention, and he's craving it right now. For whatever reason, he wants to be on TV, on other networks and other shows to promote stuff. So I said to him, I said, ask him if you can have me on the show with him. So they're going to go out there and look. Hey, by the way, John, how come you got the 3 freaking, you know, Bood and Joe, but you don't have my freaking video up there? God,
I have your video up there right now.
I did not swear.
He put it up there like 30 seconds ago.
30 seconds ago. I see no HSFL and I see Boomer. I see no Omen.
It's showing up on my big screen on the actual software.
Oh, that's great because it's not on YouTube, you know.
Yeah.
You hear my freaking voice, but you can't see my freaking face. I even took a shower for that.
Everybody can see your face.
I was a mess, and I said, "Oh, John wants me on camera." God damn it.
You went and took a shower for John's expense? Not even I would do that.
I did it for diaries, honestly, but you know, not for a guy, you schmuck. I'm not. I don't swing that way. I might have a little. Doesn't mean anything about the fact that I don't swing that way.
Erica says my favorite episode is when Zach Baggins pointed out a stray cat outside of the building that they were going to be investigating and zoomed in on it. Not even 5 minutes later, he was walking next to where the cat was.
And the cat turned into a person.
Bro.
Magic.
And then sleeping Zach walked up on it and jumped like a girl.
Deja vu. I've seen that cat before.
That is so funny.
You sure it's the same cat?
Yeah. All of a sudden,
he actually carries that cat around in a kitty transporter in the van, so he just like put it out every time they need a good scare scene.
What Gina says, can you imagine if Zach saw this stream? Hey, I would be honored. You could come up and talk shit right back. It would be the best show that ever existed.
Yeah, bring it on, Zach. Bring it on.
I hope I get to see him on an episode of Dr. Phil. I'm gonna. If I get that, you guys are gonna get the
That guy needs Dr. Phil.
Let's hope Dr. Phil is out there lurking.
It's up to Baggins. They said, look.
I don't follow him.
All right, Johnny Paranormal. Have a good night, man.
Okay, Johnny, take care. Please come out and visit sometime. Come on.
He wants to come out and possibly go check out the Wonderland murders.
Why the Wonder? You can't get access inside the goddamn house, you know.
I know.
So what the fuck are you gonna do? Stare from the outside and go, wow, what's inside? I don't know.
I can do that from here.
Look at pictures, you dumbass. I might have a little better time with it, Johnny.
I'd have a better time. I'd have an easier time connecting with the spirits there just sitting at home than I would getting into the house. So.
Well, you're not getting in the house to begin with. It's rented and occupied.
Right. You can't get in the house. So.
It's and there are people living there. It's an expensive neighborhood too.
Is it a gated community?
No.
Isn't it? It's an apartment complex, isn't it?
Hollywood Hills.
Oh.
The Wonderland murder house is now apartments, isn't it?
It was a duplex, and it still is.
Yeah. And I think they're running for like, from what I saw, they were running for like $4
I have a
grand.
question. Has anybody ever visited the hotel room where Marilyn Monroe supposedly committed suicide by drug overdose or whatever? Where she basically.
I know where Janis Joplin's is.
Oh, okay. Everybody kept
died in the hotel room, right?
Oh, Janis Joplin. Okay. But have any of you ever done any?
Who could not get those two confused?
No, I got confused on the places which one.
Oh yeah.
You know, I couldn't remember if it was the hotel room for her or if it was the home.
Yeah,
but
Brentwood hotel in Hollywood was from Janice for she OD'd.
Hey David, do you know anybody who could get me into
like check any of those places out, or?
Not I.
Is it possible to even do that?
I can get access right now to the Janis Joplin hotel where she passed away.
The room, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I want to try to get access, David. If you know anybody who could get me into the Cecil.
To the where?
The Cecil Hotel in LA.
I've never heard of the Cecil Hotel.
It's also known as where did you ever hear that story about the girl? Her last name was Lamb. She was found at the top of the water towers, decomposing into the water supply.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in downtown LA. It's in Skid Row in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever reopened it.
It's still abandoned to my knowledge.
Abandoned? Really?
It's still abandoned. They changed it from the Cecil Hotel because Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, had lived there for 2 years while he committed all of his murders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that place is surrounded. Right. That place is the most haunted hotel in the United States.
Have you guys heard the one of the? There's a place out in Indiana. I actually drove by this place. Where this guy used to lure college students in under the party thing, and he'd ended up killing them in their pool and stuff like that, and they end up finding like 6 or 7 bodies in the woods out back of the place and stuff.
I've never heard that one.
Never heard of that, but I'm trying to remember what the place is called. But I actually, when I was living in Indiana, I actually drove by it, and before I even knew anything about it, it wasn't until I came back to New York and I started, delving more into checking out all the paranormal stuff, and I came along that story, and I was like, wow, I was like right there driving up that street. Like, I was like dumbfounded. I was like, I remember that road. I drove up that road right past the property. But have any of you ever heard of that? No. And can remind? All right, I'll have to look it up again. There's a name of the estate.
There's so many serial killers.
Yeah, I think in the late 60s, early 70s or something like that, or maybe early 70s, late 70s, early 80s or something like that.
You're not talking about Ed Gein, right?
Gein.
Gein?
Ed Gein. The one that
I can't remember.
He was the one that the Hills Have Eyes, or was that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was that?
Yeah, and I think it's loosely also based on, Silence of the Lambs' Buffalo Bill was also based off of his character. But they claimed that it was Ted Bundy, even though it had some direct...
No, it wasn't Ted Bundy. It was he was a professor or something or I don't know, I can't remember exactly. It was about 8 years ago when I first discovered about this place. That I recognized driving by, and I was just seeing if anybody knew.
Well, I know places like John Wayne Gacy's place was ripped down, understandably, and so was Jeffrey Dahmer's.
Yeah.
Regarding your question about the Cecil Hotel.
Yes.
It was rebranded a new name called Stay on Main in 2011. It supposedly was under renovation and is supposed to be completed by 2019.
So it's about to reopen as a apartment complex?
No, as a hotel again.
Oh, hotel.
Rebranded and renamed, so it's still there, and it's apparently you're going to be able to rent a room there if you like.
Okay, so the room to rent is supposedly 1402. Supposedly,
which one are you talking about? Elisa Lam?
yeah, that was the room she stayed at, as well as Richard Ramirez used to live in that room.
Yeah, that's all there. It's all in the bio about the place, yes. And Elizabeth Short was rumored to have been spotted drinking at Cecil's bar the day before her notorious death.
And there was also a reporter who became, I think he was either killed there or something. But there's a whole string of deaths and destruction from that place.
Yeah, apparently a 1964 retired telephone operator named Pigeon Goody Osgood, who had been well-known and well-liked long-term resident at the hotel, was found dead in her room. She had been raped, stabbed, and beaten, and her room ransacked. A man named Jacques B. Ellinger was charged with the Osgood murder, but he was later cleared. Her death remains unsolved. Yeah, this place has got tons of different bad stories in the light of deaths and killers
and it's crazy because if you watch the what's her name, Lisa Lam, and when you watch her go into the elevator, she's clearly freaked out about something. You see her looking around, you see her peering out of the elevator, seeing if something's
coming. She also had bipolar disorder, though, John.
Well, this is true, yeah, but I think somebody was legitimately
say that before you set up the gosh darn paranoia and stuff, because that doesn't go out without that, you know. You can't leave one without the other.
Right.
You know, she might have been having a moment where she had a chemical imbalance that made her paranoid to think that she was being stalked.
But then how did she end up in the water tanks and nobody even saw her go up towards that area? Because usually the roof access is locked on most hotels.
Again, that wasn't obviously the case for this. It was obviously inside the water tank, and as they said, people said the water tasted funny. Every time I read that, I cringe.
Oh yeah. That makes me.
My water tastes funny.
That's disturbing.
What the fuck?
One of the places that now I remember, I think I was confusing two places. One of the places that I do now recall is the H.H. Holmes Murder House, which is in Irvington, Indiana. That's one of the places. I think I confused it with this other place where they found bodies, but this one was just apparently an isolated.
Wait a second! It was in Chicago.
H.H. Holmes murdered a boy, and
H.H. Holmes murdered close to 200 people.
Chicago's World's Fair, you're talking, because that's what he had.
No,
that was outside Chicago, where he killed the people coming from the World's Fair.
Yeah, H.H. Holmes killed close to 200 people.
Well, the story here was one of them was in a rented property in Irvington, Indiana.
I mean, he could have killed before the murder castle.
All right, so you're saying that. All right, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
He was a sadistic, brutal psychopath. Probably likes of which we will never see in our country again, hopefully. Hey, Fee, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it.
I'm still trying to figure out what that other one was I was thinking of. I remember seeing the story, and I saw they were showing news clips of investigators out in the woods discovering like body parts and stuff out in the woods that were in shallow graves and stuff. And that one was in, I think it was closer to maybe the Carmel area of Indiana or something. But but H.H. Holmes, I do remember hearing about that one too. Yeah, I think I'm confusing it with this other one as well. I mean, that happens, you know. You have 4 strokes in 1 year. You know, shit like that happens.
Somebody just sent me something. Mike Troiano just sent me something saying he has now officially been discounted. And it's a link to something that says, Visit the Apple TV app to purchase discounted seasons of Ghost Adventures.
Oh my goodness.
He's now syndicated on Ghost Adventures, so he's selling his shows. So watch the Apple TV app to purchase discounted seasons of Ghost Adventures.
Oh, Fox Hollow Farms. Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that's someplace that.
Is that Indiana, Mary?
Hey, you guys talk for just a second. I need to grab some water, and I'm gonna have a quick smoke, and then I'll be right back.
Well, anyway, what I remember from seeing in the video, they were actually in there, and they filmed this indoor pool and things, and while they were discussing the murders and things like that. Apparently, this guy bring college students or whatever, invite them over for a party, then he drug them and then drown them in the pool or something like that. I mean, it was 8 years ago when I stumbled across this story. It was just weird. It's like, holy shit, I was in that area. I think I drove right up that street because they showed a small area of the road where the wood line meets it and stuff. And I was like, damn, I remember that area. But, let's see, Fox Hill. Yeah. But, yeah, I was just, putting it out there to see if anybody knew anything about it.
No.
Yeah, I know this other YouTube channel. I forget what it's a husband and wife team. They live in Indiana, and they've been to all these areas. And I'm like, they're telling me about these areas. I was like, holy shit! I drove right by there. Never knew. It's like you would think an empath would pick up this kind of shit. Just driving by, but
John Dillinger just came to mind when you mentioned Indiana, out of the blue. And lots of gosh darn, you have to remember, Indiana was a hotbed in the 30s during the Depression era when the gangsters were literally using it as a safety net between going to Chicago and Illinois, and Indiana is in between. You remember, you could cross state lines, and the police in Illinois couldn't cross the state lines into Indiana and prosecute you. So they would stop. That's why Indiana was, of gangsters. Pretty Boy Floyd, Babyface Nelson, John Dillinger. I mean, Capone was through there. I mean, God, and all this.
Do you know about this Dillinger treasure thing? I heard about it. Like, supposedly there's on his last bank robbery or something. He said there was a letter somewhere or something. He buried some treasure somewhere. It's called the Dillinger treasure, and people have been like searching for it for years and haven't found it yet or whatever. Have you ever heard of that one?
I heard of it on a TV show, I think, that's coming out. Is what I last heard of it a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
I have no idea, Pat. It's the same thing with the Jesse James treasure.
Right.
For the cause of the South. Honestly, it's hard to say. It's the same thing with was it hidden pirate treasure? The joke of the matter was there really was no freaking way that the pirates were sitting there burying their treasure on a gosh darn isolated little island. You know why? They freaking spent the goddamn money. That's why. There is no such, it's a myth. Pirate treasure. It's like, what do you think? These guys robbed all these galleons to bury it on a South Seas island so someday they could find a way. They didn't have the greatest navigational skills to find that little pipsqueak island and then find that spot in there. And to do what? Money was money to be spent while they were alive, not to be hoarded and saved for some rainy day when they crossed that freaking island again, if they got by God and chance found it. I mean, the
well, kind of like that story I was telling earlier. I briefly mentioned the fact that at my grandparents' house before they bought it, where the two brothers robbed the bank and one of them was shot down inside. My grandmother told me that story, and she said that it was rumored that they, while the one brother was trying to hold off the cops or whatever during the shootout or whatever, that the other brother buried the goods somewhere in the basement. So imagine me being, I think she first told me when I was about 13, 14 years old, from the age of 14 till I moved out. Imagine, I'm in my grandma's basement after after my grandfather passed away, digging like everywhere. Like it was a dirt basement. The only concrete was where the furnace and water heater sat down in it was all dirt. So I'm digging up this basement, and I did come across this little leather suitcase handle. It had the leather straps had been rotted and come apart from its suitcase, but that's all I found. I saw a suitcase handle. It was an old leather wrap type handle to maybe those old doctor bags type things. That's all I ever found was just a handle to the suitcase or whatever it was that I assumed that it was buried there, but over the years they didn't prepare it well enough or something, and nature took over, and if it was paper money, it would have just went to waste or whatever over the years. I don't know, but I dug everywhere in that basement. I took stones out of the wall, looking to see if there was like a loose stone that they could have tucked it in and stuff like that. I was all over that basement. All I found was that handle, like an old suitcase handle, leather wrap, kind of handle.
Could it be that somebody else beat you to the treasure?
I
pulled the bag out, and the bag could not have integrated to the extent that you're saying it did.
I did think about that.
The
Yeah.
leather in 80 years would not deteriorate to the point where completely gone. It would have been there. So I think somebody found the bag. The handle came off, and they pulled it up. They dropped the handle. They took the bag out, and it's all. You're late. Is what I'm getting. So,
yeah, I thought about that too.
That's what I figured
because it was a few years since that happened. Before my grandparents actually bought the place, I think they bought it in just before 1940. My dad was born in 42, so he was born in the house. So it was sometime between when it happened, not long after that. My grandparents bought the house, both properties. So it's very likely that somebody that knew about it could have gone back in and recovered it, and
exactly.
But
that's what I'm picking up, that you found the handle, meaning the handle didn't deteriorate in that year.
It was in bad shape, but it didn't it was frayed and fallen off. It had the D rings on it and everything. Because that's what led me to believe that maybe the leather corroded and corroded off, but because it had the D rings on the handle that was wrapped in leather, and it was looking pretty.
Yeah.
But I was like 15 or 16, I think, when that happened.
Hey, John.
Yes.
I'm gonna jump down. I'm wearing down pretty fast, and it's already 2 o'clock in the morning.
Holy shit! That means it's
midnight in the west.
3 here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just
midnight.
when I get quiet, that means I'm tired.
I hear you.
So when she gets quiet, I mean she's tired of hearing Boomer talk.
No, I'll just sit here and just listen. I'm not even fall asleep on you guys. No, I'm not normally gonna fall asleep unless I'm laying in bed. All right, guys.
Diary,
was nice dealing with y'all.
Don't forget tomorrow at 10 if you can make it. Another improv.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Alrighty.
Get some rest, Diary, and do come out to visit sometime. Love to have you out here to visit so we can do a live show with John and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
For sure.
You'll get a kick out of it. Get some rest and get some sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Poor thing. Shit.
Yes, this has gone on way too long. I shouldn't be sick this long.
Go to bed and drink some water. Get that just flush it out.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some cranberry juice.
Yeah.
I went out and bought me some more fruit today. More fruit, more water.
There you go.
All right, guys. Much love, and I'll see y'all later.
Take care.
All right, Diary. Feel better.
Now I got the countdown to Halloween timer on the stream, so that's kind of cool.
Well, I don't see that.
It's gonna be at the bottom of the screen there.
I don't see no countdown. I don't understand why people put such an emphasis on Halloween.
What the fuck are you talking? I don't see goddamn count shit down. Nope.
Like for me, every day is freaking Halloween. You know what I'm saying? I'm always hearing them. You know, it's like, yeah, Halloween is just another day for me.
Sam.
I mean, just look at me. I mean, you can imagine Halloween's just another day.
That's what Danny Elfman says.
Every day is Halloween for Boomer D. I can imagine Dave not putting too much. I mean, he's like, damn, look, I've been here, 50 years in this place. Halloween ain't nothing. I'm always dealing with these assholes, so.
No. This year I don't feel the Halloween bug. I haven't gotten into just decorating the exterior of the house or any of that. And I don't know if I'm going to. My God. Shit.
Yeah. I if I could see, I have my front porch is utilized with my neighbor, so I can't even turn off my damn porch light Halloween night to keep these little fuckers from knocking on my door. I gotta get up every 20 minutes or every 10 minutes saying, "Oh, sorry, no candy here," hoping that there's no eggs in their bags. I'm sorry, I don't like. I ain't got the money. I can pass out candy to every kid in the freaking neighborhood. I mean, but actually, in our area, they actually put an ordinance out that, all right, for one, you can only trick or treat during the day. They won't let you out at night anymore to trick or treat. And they also put this, like, a lot of people now are just doing Halloween parties as opposed to going out to trick or treat because of the crime rate going up. You know, I tell you, in the last 20 years, there's been like 4 kids snatched. There's been vandalisms and things like that. People getting beat up, and kids getting beat up and their candy taken. I mean, come on.
What
you know,
damn son of
I mean, I've heard of.
What the hell is going on here?
There was some asshole, and pardon my French, there was a guy who was putting drugs in kids' candy. And this was in the news multiple times. They were lacing these kids' candies. They made them look like little skull candies, but they were ecstasy.
Yeah, that's another thing they say, like, if you do go out trick-or-treating, if you accept candy, make sure it's factually wrapped and stuff. Like, don't take any homemade thing. Because, like, when I was a kid, we go out trick-or-treating, what do we get? We get, like, fruitcake and freaking popcorn balls. And, people made their stuff to give to people, like an orange, an apple, or whatever. For the most part, it was kind of safe until the day I found a sewing pin in one of my apples.
Jesus Christ.
I don't get how fruitcake came to be.
For some reason, over the last few years, it's gotten even worse. They've become more inventive of what to put in candy and stuff like that. It got to the point where some of our areas, they stopped doing it here because of the cost, but some areas would let you go to like a facility where they could x-ray your candy and stuff like that for any foreign objects and stuff. But they stopped doing it here because they realized it was costing so much to do that. Well, it's gotten to that point where people were taking their freaking kids' bags of candy to these places to get it x-rayed to make sure people weren't sticking shit in them.
Yeah.
So, they highly advise that, just, have your Halloween parties at your own place, and I think 6:30 or 7 o'clock is the cutoff from when kids can be out trick-or-treating and stuff like that. They have to be in before dusk to go trick-or-treating. But, yeah, it's gotten freaking terrifying in some areas with that shit.
Yeah, it's no joke. I
Yeah.
remember when I was out in the Carolinas, and this was another huge news story. It started, I think it was like September, just prior to October of 2016. There were these psychos dressing up in clown outfits and actually like prowling people's properties. And I was utterly shocked that none of them got shot. Being a southern state and like how well armed people are there.
Not brains, well armed. Remember that, boy. They're well armed, but they have no well brains.
Yeah.
That's different. They don't see crime.
It's just like, they would literally walk onto your property and stare at your windows as a practical joke.
Yeah.
But it was not funny to a lot of people. And like, that's my worst fear in life, is dealing with like a stalker clown. Like, that is
a stalker clown. Yes.
Ever since that murder clown story came out, like even the kids here, like teenagers here, were going out and doing just that. They were putting their faces in clown makeup and stuff, and they would just go out and like pop out from behind a tree, scare people, and they'd like look in your window and stand there like that and stuff. I was like, dude, you're lucky I don't have a gun. You know,
baseball bat. Do you have one of those? Let's go to frag.
Oh, yeah, I mean, well, yeah. By the time I get out, it happened to me once. Somebody was coming up trying to look into my kitchen window, pulling themselves up on the windowsill.
That son of a bitch in the jaw. Fuck them fast and hard. Let them feel it good.
I got this, you know, those bamboo like practice sword things. They're yeah, like so I grabbed that and I ran out my back door, about to whoop some kid's ass for trying to do a prank on me. It wasn't a clown thing. He just was like, had this white makeup on his face. And so I think he was trying to be like the It guy, or not It, what the fuck is that? Scary Movie. Scary Movie.
I love that.
Scary Movie was a spoof to this.
I know what you did last summer.
With the white mask. No, the other one with the white mask and the hood. But
Scream.
I think that was Scream. Yeah, I think that was his intent, to like betray himself. So I go out the back door and I've got this thing wielded, and by the time he hears me open the door and come out, he just bolts, takes off. And I found out who it was by it was some new neighbors that moved in over here just behind me. Him and his brother were out clowning around and throwing sticks at the buildings. Well, I threw a stick at my house and ripped my screen. So I went over there and confronted them. I was hoping their parents would kick their dad in the balls. But I confronted them, then I reported them to the office. 2 days later, they were gone. Like they did him out in the middle of the night. I'm standing at my other kitchen window that looks out back toward their apartment, watching them. They pull up their little Pinto to the door, and they're like loading up. And the guy sees me standing there watching them, and he says, "I hope you're happy." I'm like, "Hey, I'm not the one that raised two douchebag children that just go around vandalizing shit. You know, if he was kicked out for it, that's not my fault. You're the assholes." You know, so yeah, but I wanted to beat his ass so bad. I went outside and they ran, and there's this field outside my living room, on the side of my house. There's quite a long field that's about a half a block long, and then across the streets there's this little church, and that's where they ran. They ran and they hid around behind the church. So at that time we had security. EPD was moonlighting as security here. Since they've cut that out, but they used to have an office here, a post here, and I called in the post and reported this shit, and but there wasn't nothing they could do. Well, unless they cause damage or threaten you, nothing we can do. I was like, yeah, well, if I see that fucker in my window again, I'm gonna beat him. How about some street justice on that? You gonna hand me up?
That's great. If I see that fucking window, his goddamn teeth's gonna be dashed the fuck into the back of his goddamn head.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't recognize him at first because he tried to have his face all made up, you know, and it didn't dawn on me until I saw him face to face when I confronted him, and I'm like, because the older brother answered the door, it was the younger brother. I was like, how the hell could you even pull your fat ass up to my window like that? You know, I'm thinking to myself. But I saw him. He was like kind of hopping up, using the window sill to pull himself up and down, trying to look, looking through my kitchen window. And I don't know if they were trying to scope the place or just trying to scare me. And, well, he tried to disguise himself, but I recognized him. I was like, and I just imagined him with his face like painted up like that, with the white paint and stuff. And I was like, damn, he looks familiar. What the? So I put 2 and 2 together, and I reported him for the window. And like 2 or 3 days later, they were doing a Diddy move in the middle of the night. So they didn't like that. They had to pay $300 for the screen. The office fined them $300 to replace that screen.
Wow. Well, guys, I am giving I have about 10 more minutes left of this stream. So I can't believe there's still almost 30 people in this chat. Thank you guys so much.
Well, look who you have on your panel.
I know.
I mean, you got Boomer D on your panel. What do you expect?
I know. So, David, go ahead and talk about your book a little bit.
I read from it already, didn't I?
Yes, but explain in a little more detail where they can find it, and I'll get James or whoever can. Oh, he's already posting it.
What possessed you to write it?
This is pardon?
Like what gave you the idea to actually go out and write a book to be published?
Honestly, it started 10 years ago when I approached People magazine. Christ, maybe it's more than 10 years ago now to think about it. Maybe it's 14 years old. Yeah, it's about 10 years ago now. I reached out to People magazine to get some press on my movie. And they said, if your movie comes out, we'll cover it. But if it isn't coming out, we can't cover a movie that's not being released. And the guy goes, but you know something? If you wrote a book, we could cover the story on the book and do a book review, and that would be very helpful because that could help get your movie out. So about 10 plus years ago, I decided to sit down and start writing this book about my story in the house. And let's just say I got a little bit blocked in the brain about certain parts of it, and I put it down and let it go. And about a year and a half ago, when Quentin was up here shooting the movie, for the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it started click in my head saying, the 50th anniversary is going to be the biggest, most interesting part of the murders because everybody's going to be intrigued and want to talk about it. And I said, when am I going to sit down and write this book and get this to the public? Since I've done the 6 US shows, and let's be honest, each one of the shows has created a sub-story to my truth. Meaning, my ghost story, they compressed 5 years of incidents into about a week. And it was all taking place in the first week I moved in here, to the point where there are people at this party when I moved in here that I didn't meet for 3 years in real life. Yet somehow they appeared at my housewarming party. And I said, let's remember what Mr. Baggins did in his, in Ghost Adventures, in his book, I Am Haunted, online and Twitter, and then of course with Ghost Adventures Aftershocks. In all 4 accounts, he went out of his way to make me look like an idiot, say that I was possessed, said I was a poltergeist agent, that I was the reason why the house was haunted, all this mumbo jumbo crap. And I said, what was it, about 8 months ago, I had Scott Michaels here, he's with Dearly Departed Tours. He was here with Bridget Marquardt, the Girls Next Door, who's now the Ghost Magnet. And she was doing a live show from here. And Scott turns to me as I'm talking about Baggins and about how my house isn't built on native ceremonial burial grounds. And he says to me, in straight face, he goes, well, you do know that Benedict Canyon was where they buried the Native Americans. And I almost went white as a frickin' sheet. And I looked at him and I said, what are you talking about? Where'd you hear this? And he goes, well, Zach Baggins told me. And I'm like, the flying, that's it, man. When this guy spews his BS
and for lack of better words, his fake news and his pathetic crap. And it starts to matriculate down to the audience and to the masses, to the point where a guy who doesn't even give a flying about the paranormal, he's just a death hag, right?
Yeah.
Starts telling me that he believes that what Zach Baggins said is the truth, historically accurate. And I said, that's it. That's the last straw. I can't live in a world where this dumb piece of crap is telling lies, not only about me and my house, but about the area, the whole history of this area, and it's not true. So I said, that's it. I got to take my freaking pen to paper and finish this goddamn book. Yeah. And literally in May of this year, I sat down and said, that's it. August is the anniversary. I want this book done. I want to finish it. So I literally put my belt, safety belt on. I strapped myself in and I started busting my ass to finish the book, which I did 2 weeks ago on Saturday, on the 4th. This is the 4th, crap. On the 5th, I released the book. And it's basically getting pretty good response from the public, and the fact that they've all said it's written by you. There's no doubt that it's not written by a ghostwriter, pardon the pun. They said it's the way you talk when you do your podcast or your interviews, and we hear you speak, and that's all it is. It's you telling it like it is, without the hyperbole, without the gosh darn drama, without the theories of the demons and the devils and the this and the that and what's happening here. I just told you the story, so you do what you want with it. Take whatever you want out of it, away from it, whatever you get. But it's not anything. Wow, that's a hell of a fur ball there, Tommy. It has nothing to do with theories. No, Tommy just threw up a huge 3-inch long, 1/2-inch diameter fur ball. Damn. I heard him throw up. I was like, oh shit, is he dying? It's like, no, it's a gosh darn fur ball the size of Utah. So,
it's the size of Rhode Island.
And it's a fun book. Like I said, it talks about the history of the area with the Native Americans, and it straightens out the crap story that he produced and said. Talks about early Beverly Hills, the area. It doesn't really go into any of the TV shows I've been on, because who cares? I'm not here to sit there and talk about ghost hunters and what they did and how they did it. That would be a mess. So I said, who cares? They've all seen the show. That's fine. But the book itself is about my story and other people's stories that have experienced stuff here at the house. Mm-hmm. And like I said, Joe's will be in volume 2, because this book only goes from my experiences of building the house in 1999 all the way to 2013, because I didn't want this thing to become like War and Peace and be 500 pages long. I didn't want it. Yeah. But it's about 230 pages. I've got great pictures. I mean, I have to say, I was really impressed with the way that the images came out, as well as the way that the book itself came out. Like, example, there's a photo, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a picture here of Chris Fleming here at the house with me. It's incredibly just great quality images. So it's not like it's heavily pixelated. I've got pictures of the construction of the house. So you get to see what the whole story is. And as a lot of people have said to me, the pictures and the story go hand in hand to explain what I've talked about before, as far as the way the house was constructed with steel and why it has this geomagnetic anomaly magnified in the structure that's unlike any other home on the planet, so to speak.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, it's a fun read. It's interesting. People seem to be liking it. I'm still waiting for my first bit of negative press on it, or not a pass or a pan on the book. But so far, the 150 copies I've gotten out there, it's all been good. So,
well, I can't wait to get my copy and actually read the book. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I seriously can't wait.
Where do you go to buy one? How would somebody buy one to have? I live in New York. Is there a website to go to buy
this right now? It's not on Audible. It's not on Kindle.
Okay.
It's on ghostdealerdrive.com.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I can get you a signed copy. Either way. By the way, Kevin Smith and Jay are actually got their copies a week and a half ago, and I heard back from their contact person. They're like,
yeah, we want to check this place out and meet David. I'm like,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
that'll be fun
Yeah,
to get to meet Jay and Silent Bob.
right?
Yeah, right.
That's so cool.
Mall rats.
I know. I'm jealous. That's cool. I'm
like going, oh, that'll be the day when I get to meet them. I'll be happy as hell to see them here at the house.
Right.
Well,
That'd be.
didn't you
That
have
would be awesome.
didn't you have Sean T at your house? You've had a couple of celebs.
Oh God, that's right. Yeah, well, yeah, I had Sean Ski at the house last year. I think it was, last year about. You know, I haven't seen him or talked to him since, but yeah, I've had a lot of celebrities visit the house. You know, Rob and Dan Gronkowski have visited, Sylvester and Frank Stallone. Sounds like I'm talking brothers that brother celebrities have visited here. But we've had other people like Lindsay Lohan, Kesha. Trying to see who the hell else. I'm reaching out to a few other celebrities on my own to see if they're interested in coming up here. When that happens, I will let you guys know. But I don't want to jinx it because I just got a copy of my book to one very famous celebrity really just yesterday. So I'm like, this should be interesting. If I pull this off, I'll be amazed. I'll just
for sure. No, that's
and
awesome.
boy, trust me, you'll all be amazed too. You go,
yeah.
Holy crap, are you serious? What the hell is she doing? I said, yeah, well, leave it to Dave, leave it to the Omen. He always pulls the rabbit out of the hat.
Well, tell I'm not. Is it Ariana Grande?
Shut the fuck up. I'm not giving anybody's name away. I don't name drop beforehand. After the fact, fine. So I'm not. No matter what you say, I'm not going to acknowledge yes or no or anything.
It's totally Ariana Grande.
Name dropper.
I'm not giving anything away.
Oh, did they
Tommy
finally
is, though.
finish
Tommy,
filming
stop
Space
farting.
Jams by your house?
What?
Did they finally finish filming Space Jam?
Oh, yeah, that was just for 2 days. They were gone really quick.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, just for that location.
That's cool. Yeah, there's going to be a Space Jams 3. Look forward to that coming out soon.
With LeBron playing Michael Jordan's part, I assume.
Yeah.
Hi, Cryptid.
Alright, so the signed copy is $25 plus $5 shipping. How long does it usually take to ship cross
country? Sometimes like 5 days. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
Okay. Cause I really want to buy one. I would on the first when I get my VA.
You'll enjoy the book. Trust me. You'll be like, this is crazy stuff, and it's all real.
I'm actually gonna star this site and put it in my favorites. So,
thank you.
Yeah, I definitely want a signed copy.
No, it's not just signed. I put a personal inscription. So you say, David, tell me you want to beat me with a stick and call me daddy. Something like that.
Oh, Lord.
Whatever you want, seriously.
You can put whatever the hell you want in it.
That was just a very avant-garde statement. Just say, David, could you describe it to me?
Or you could just slip me a nice little bookmarker in it that says airline ticket to California.
I wish I had that kind of fucking information. I'd be like, yeah, come on out and visit. Here's the ticket. I work at American Airlines. They don't care.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you what, man.
You could afford it if you went with Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, the first time I make another big art sale like I did about 6 months ago, I'm definitely going to tuck that money away and use it to take a little trip out there.
Get an airline ticket, always. It's the only way to fly. Cheap air. Cheapo air.
Yeah. Spirit Air.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't touch Spirit Air with a 10-foot pole. No. He's stuck.
Yeah, because you might end up at like a Spirit.
You might end up dead before you arrive.
Exactly. DOA.
Well, you'll know if I'm there because I'll knock 3 times then kick you once.
Wise guy, eh?
I'd be like, hey, Dave, I arrived. Knock, 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 kick. I'll knock over every figurine. Just to let you know I'm there. Everyone, not just the Batman.
Batman. I don't have Batman.
Whatever. What's the black figurine? I never could get a clear shot on that. What's the black figurine that Pokemon?
Smoking Man.
Oh, okay.
He's a character that was smoking cigarettes in his bed in the Beetlejuice movie.
Okay. All right.
I tried to quit, but too late.
Yeah. You'll know. You know when it's me. I guarantee.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. I am going to wrap up this stream. It is getting late for just about everybody. Thank you guys so much for the most epic stream I've had in a long time. You guys.
Well, you got me wide awake now, though, John. I might have to go do a short live stream.
Yeah, you might have
John,
to do an after
before you
party.
get off the gosh darn horn here, remember, will you please tell the audience and put it out there about next Tuesday night's special event here at the house?
Yes, guys, next Tuesday night, I will be live with Joe Vieira and David Omen at the Omen House on the 28th the 29th and 30th.
29th.
Yes, so the 29th and 30th, Joe and I will be live at the David Omen House doing a paranormal investigation. So it's
a show. Come on.
And a show. We're gonna be doing a couple shows, I'm sure.
Yeah. They tried to book the 31st, but they didn't have the extra grand.
They're not paying a goddamn. Oh, Jesus Christ!
I'm just kidding.
Don, get some people to come out here for the event though as well. Seriously, if they're interested, the barbecue and everything, and hit this place in this time of year.
Yeah, guys, this is the time to do it. If you guys want to have a badass barbecue and all that, and a paranormal investigation, and join us on our live show.
We're doing a screening, John.
What?
Yeah, JetBlue does fly out there. That's the airline I took to go to San Francisco to see my brother. So JetBlue does go out there.
Yeah, JetBlue's good.
Yep.
Frontier, Southwest, but not Spirit.
So I can't wait to use equipment like this. This is gonna be really cool to take on this, and I can
flying
record
Spirit. You might as well fly TWA. That's a good one.
Why don't you try to Pan Am while you're at it with it?
Right. So guys, look forward. This is gonna be my last live stream before I go to the David Omen House. So,
boy, is that going to be a fun time when you guys are here. We're going to party and have a blast.
Oh, we're going to have a great time.
Today's only the 23rd, right? You're going to wait 7 days to go live again?
Yeah. Because I got videos to put.
What an asshole.
I have a couple videos I need to finish editing, and I'm going to have one release on Halloween after we get back from the Omen House. So that is my goal. I'm going to have the Padre Hotel investigation come out, and that's going to be with Herman the Great and Irish Whiskey. It's Herman the Great's first ever paranormal trip.
I got a question for you, Jan. Are you going to take Janet with you to the Omen House?
I hope not. That bitch needs to stay here or go away somewhere else.
Well, I thought maybe you'd dump her off on Dave.
If he wants her, he can have her.
What the fuck is with you thinking thoughts like that, please? No.
Janet, you're welcome to visit me. I'll take good care of you.
She is rude. She'll just interrupt my streams with like these creepy EVPs out of nowhere, and she'll run across the black void of the door and real quick. Like, I've caught her so many times, and then she'll open up the blinds. She's
what John is neglecting to inform everybody, that was his mom rushing by in her nightgown.
No, that was not. My mom was asleep in that
video. You gotta laugh about it sometimes, John, or else it drives you nuts.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it's been a lot quieter since I saged the house and put the protection crystals around. It's been a lot quieter, which is nice.
Well, yeah, I really do hope to get out there sometime in the near future. I gotta do $1 grand masterpiece, sell it, and that'll be my trip right there.